straight to all of the social media platforms that we have. So Facebook, Twitter, all of those kind of things. And so if you want to I'll remind you all to please keep that in mind. Everything you say will be streamed to the world. But of course, that's the kind of the point. We want everyone to hear all of your fantastic ideas, policies and everything. So that were, I think, are we on a relatively okay number of people now, Tom?
There are currently 35 attendees.
Okay, I think we'll start then. We have 37 candidates, so 35 sounds quite good. I've done that. It's upside down. Oh, well, it's fine. We'll keep it. Tonight's event will work in the following way. So welcome to Barts of the London Candidate Debate, everyone. This is the first time we're doing it on Zoom, so very exciting stuff. As I said, it's my first time being a panelist in one of these kind of events, like in this format. I'm getting pings and pongs everywhere, but we'll get through it. It's going to be very, very fun. The event is being live streamed via Facebook and YouTube. So as I said, please remember that. Remember to please keep it clean and friendly. Not that I think anyone will have any issues with that at all. We've got a few questions that have been submitted in advance. We may use them, we may not. And then we're also going to be taking questions from the audience throughout the event as well. So if you're in the audience and you want to ask a question, you're more than welcome to. Each candidate will get about 2 to 3 questions each. It will be the same question for all candidates within that position. You will not have any opening speeches this year. Once you are done with the questions, we will also allow you to have a very short 30 seconds-ish closing statement. So just to sum up what you've said this evening. Then please remember that voting opens on Monday. So you can go there and vote. And if you're watching this and you want to find out more about the candidates, there's all of the information on qmsu.org/elections. There's manifestos, how to vote, etc., on there. I think that's everything I needed to cover, but I apologize if I've missed everything. We're going to go in a very predetermined specific order. So hopefully that'll be okay for you all. And remember, just quickly, the staff protocol, everyone. We're not supposed to mention any specific student union staff if they have no right to reply to the comment. So I will take the kind of silence in the chat as everyone's understanding what's going on. Good. Fantastic. Great. So hello, everyone. We're going to start with our first candidate, who is the BL secretary, although I believe the secretary cannot make it today. So instead, they will be playing a video. We will be playing a video that they've sent in advance. I really like my background's just twisted itself, but there we go.
Hi, my name's Barbie. I'm in my 4th year at Barts and I'm intercalating this year in global health. I would love to be your BL secretary next year. So yeah, I believe I'm really hardworking and really enthusiastic. And I have lots of great ideas I can bring to the table to motivate everyone to do the best they can in their role. So yeah, would really appreciate if you would vote for me. But yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Okay, fantastic. Next up, we have the External Affairs Officer. So, and the person running for that is Ibrahim. So Ibrahim, have you, please put your hand up so that we can identify you. And then we will make you a panelist as well. You will join me in this strange world where I don't see anyone else who's watching. And you'll be able to answer some of the questions we have for you. So is Ibrahim here?
I don't think Ibrahim is among the attendees.
Okay, that's fine. So we'll move on then. Ibrahim hasn't sent a video in, so that's fine. And then now we will also go on to the next candidate, which is the Alumni Officer. So we got Kiriana and Raksha who are running for the position. Can you both put your hands up? Lovely, look at that. And please turn on your cameras, if that's okay. Hello, hello. Oh my God,
Fast face.
Hello, hello. Welcome, team. Okay, so you're running for Alumni Officer. That is the role that looks after our student groups. No, not student groups, our alumni, and makes them feel welcome within Barts of London and builds the relationship between our students and alumni. So I want to ask the people watching this if there are any questions for our alumni officers. So please put your hands up. Can I see the hands? Yes, attendees, fantastic. Numa, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Sorry, give me a minute.
Okay, that's fine. And then just to note, the candidates have about 45 seconds each to answer the question. So, Numa, do you want to ask your question?
Sorry. I think oh, ignore my background. It's from when I was being a student ambassador. Hi, hi everyone. So I just had a question. So obviously like at BL, there's a larger number of medics compared to other students studying other degrees. So I was just wondering how you would support alumni in those other degrees, especially as some of them are kind of new, I guess, like relative compared to the medics and the dentists, and how you could support them with that.
Fab. So that's one question. Before you answer, do we have any other questions? Okay, I will ask another additional question if that's okay. My question will be, and we'll start with Numa's question, but I'll ask both of them now so that you have a little bit of time to prepare in your heads. So, as you know, Barts of London has a long history and is famed for its long history. Oh, we've lost someone. Tom,
I'm sorry, that's completely my fault. That should be.
That's the raw. Is that the?
Oh no, I'm so sorry. No, this is. I tried to take Numa off, and in fact, I took Raksha off, and then I forgot.
That is completely fine. To be fair, Tom, it's all the better. We're breaking the ice, as we like to say. So don't worry about it. Should we bring?
Yes. Yeah.
Raksha back in. Thanks.
Raksha doesn't appear to be on the.
She's got a hand up.
Anymore. Yes, that's right, because she's at the top. I'm so sorry, Raksha. Yeah, you should be back now. Completely my fault.
Fabulous. Right, there we go. A bit of fun there. So the question is, we've got a long kind of alumni history. We've got a long history, and some of our alumni identify at different parts of the history. So some identify as Barts students, as the London students, and others Barts and the London students. How do you feel we can best, maintain and balance that relationship and ensure they still identify to their old kind of BL or Barts or London identity, as well as the modern Barts of London identity we find today? So we'll have 45 seconds to answer both questions. The first question is Numa's question around allied courses. Are you ready to start? Is that okay? So we'll start with Kiriana. If you go first.
Sorry, am I just answering Numa's question at this point,
Yes.
or both of them? Okay, so speaking about kind of non-medics, I think it's really important to work with the allied courses representative. And integrating in global health this year, I've also been working alongside lots of master's students as well, who I think it's important to address them as alumni. So I think to running specific events, networking events with allied courses is really important. I also think it was good to work with the accidental president to continue the alumni like mentoring scheme that they have there. And then an additional thing is to work with the GOZO medical students, because next year they'll have students who will be in their final year. So then
That's
starting to
fine. That's okay, don't worry. Thank you. Don't worry, you've covered loads there. And we heard some cheering in the background for good fun as well. So there we go. Don't worry about it.
It put me off a bit. I was like,
It's all right. It's all right. Great answer. Right. So Raksha, your turn as well. 45 seconds. I'm sure you'll ace it as well. So
just wanted to start with, my Wi-Fi is really bad in hospital accommodation, so I might cut off a bit. But yeah, can I start?
Yes, if I reset my timer, go ahead.
Okay, Numa, I totally agree. Like the majority of Barts does seem very medic based, and same with the board. But I want to work with the respective representatives on the BLSA board, so postgrad, allied courses and dental reps, to make sure that they have enough representation. And one of my ideas is to set up an Instagram page where we can showcase different BL alumni, and I want to make sure there's an equal spread amongst all courses so that people know what the futures are like and the different alumni for the different courses.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay, that's one question each. So we'll go on to the second question, which was around the history of Barts in the London and managing the different identities that people have from that history, and ensuring they still identify with Barts in the London today. So we'll go the other way around this time. So actually, you go first.
Sure. Can I start?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't know. Yes, I think it's quite important to make sure that they all identify themselves with what they're comfortable with. Obviously now we're better known as Barts in the London. But I think if I was to address certain year groups that attended different under different names, I'd address according to that group. So before the merger, if I was addressing those who were here in like the 1970s or 80s, addressing them to Barts and then separately to the London, so that they're so that they understand that we respect their views and how they identify themselves, and then generally just making sure that I include both Barts of the London and Barts if I was to ever contact all of them.
Fantastic, thank you so much. Okay, Kiriana, do you want to go next? Well, it's your turn. So you may start now.
So I think it's important to recognise that the alumni are from their respectable schools of medicine previously, but that BATLA has been as it is now since 2000. So I feel like the alumni are used to being in situations where it's the alumni from Barts, the alumni from the London. But I think something I would like to do is work with the archives department, and looking back when it was Barts and it was the London, and celebrating alumni who were within the different institutions through that way.
Fantastic, thank you so much. That is time on the questions. You might be happy to know. I'll give you each 45 seconds to kind of wrap up and give any closing statements or mention anything that you wanted to mention now. So we'll start with Kiriana again this time. So if you go first, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name, so do correct me if I am.
No, you're not.
Okay, wow. Okay, so go ahead.
So one thing that I think is really important is to have networking events so that current students can network with alumni, and also so that alumni can network with other alumni. I also would encourage all student groups, whether that's sports societies or volunteering groups, to have specific alumni officers and run specific alumni events to increase engagement with alumni. And then something that I'd like to introduce, which is something I was working with on Club Sport Committee this year, but unfortunately due to COVID, plans kind of didn't go ahead, is the Alumni Cup as a separate event to merger.
Fantastic, thank you so much. And in under 45 seconds, we'd love to see it. Right, Raksha, your turn. And again, let me know if I'm mispronouncing your name.
No, it's perfect.
Okay. So start now.
Perfect. So I've been a part of many societies over my 5 years, especially having a big role in BL class, where I've learned a lot on responsibility and organisation. So I think I have the skills required to facilitate that communication between BLSA and Butler to ensure that we have more networking events for different groups of students. So, for example, the dentists, the postgrads, the physician associates, etc., and make sure that societies have more alumni representation throughout the events that they need them for.
Thank you so much. Okay, well, let's give a virtual round of applause for our first two candidates to speak on this very new, I mean, we're a year in, but this is our first ever hustings online. I hope it wasn't too stressful or worrying. Sorry that we kicked one of you out at one point. And there we go, fantastic. So next up would be our engagement officer. Carl is running for engagement officer, but we do not have Carl here, is my understanding. So we will move on straight into RAG officer. So Annie is running for RAG officer. So can we bring, Annie, can you put your hand up for us? For those of you who don't know, RAG stands for Raise and Give. It's the branch of the student union that raises money for charity and fundraisers. We select some charities every year to fundraise for. Annie, if I see you're here, turn your camera on, lovely. Hope you're okay. I think we'll also just take the same format. So if we have any questions from the audience at all for Annie, can you put your hand up now? No, okay, that's fine. We do have a question. Carolina is here. So can we have Carolina's question, please? Carolina, you're here. You don't need to. Yes, thank you very much. Can you ask your question for us, please?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask specific questions of how would you collaborate and cooperate with specific societies to organize fundraisers? Because in COVID, it has been quite difficult, but a major source of those fundraisers come from specific events that societies do. So my question is, how would that be possible next year?
There we go. That's your question, Annie. Do we have any other questions that have been inspired by Carolina's question? No, thank you, Carolina. It's very weird. They appear and they disappear. So there we go. Numa, we've got one question from Numa.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, sorry, I'm back. I just wanted to ask what Annie was looking most forward to, or would be looking most forward to, if she was RAG officer next year.
Oh, we love it. A wholesome question. Lovely. Okay, Annie, you've got 2 questions, 45 seconds for each question, and then a quick closing statement at the end. The first question is around working with societies. So let's start with that question. You may start now.
So yeah, I would love to work with societies as RAG officer, and I also think sports clubs and volunteering groups. It's really important that the RAG officer is there to support in doing those events. I think it's definitely possible to raise money online. I think by charging like admission for certain events, or doing games and having prizes, I think is a really good way of doing it. And my role as volunteering officer this year, I think, would be quite helpful in terms of helping those sports club societies and volunteering groups to raise some money.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Annie. Are you ready for the second question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Second question is about what you're looking most forward to if you were to get this role. So you have 45 seconds again. You may start.
So I'm really passionate about raising money for charity. I always have been, and I think I just really like organising all the events. Hopefully we could have some in-person events and promoting them. I also love bake sales. I'd really love to just do loads of bake sales. That's something I really enjoy. And just coming up with new ideas for new events and running them, I think would it be really good fun, and I'd love to raise loads of money.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Annie. That's it. Well, I think we'll leave it there. Thank you for joining us, Annie. You're going to disappear into the attendees now again. And then we're going to move on to our next candidate. Oh, no, wait, Annie needs her 45-second closing statement. Sorry, bring her back. Bring her back. Sorry, Tom. That was me. Completely my fault. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. There we go. Sorry, Annie. Okay.
It's okay. This is really
get your 45 seconds to tell us a little bit more about anything you think you wanted to tell us more about. So you can start now.
So I'd love to be your BL Rag Officer next year. I have lots of experience fundraising, and I have experience on the BLSA board working as the volunteering officer. There's quite a lot of events that I wanted to incorporate with RAG this year that I wasn't able to run, so I'd love the opportunity to actually be able to do that next year. But I've also got lots of ideas if COVID persists of how we can still raise money, and I'd love the opportunity. So.
Thank you, Annie. I really hope COVID is, it might still be around, but at least that we can do a bit more and it's all safe and much better. So right, we're going to move on now, this time for real, to a new role for the BLSA this year, which is our Sustainability Officer. Is the Sustainability Officer candidate, who is Minahil. I'm really sorry if I've said that wrong. Are they here? Just trying to see, I've got many different things kind of going up. If they are here, you put your hand up, but it seems like they're not here. So we'll move on again. But remember that if you want to find out more about all of these candidates, if they're not here tonight, that's fine. They might have a very reasonable reason to not be here. We're all in the middle of a pandemic and on placement and stuff. So please do make sure you still check out their manifestos on qmsu.org/elections. When you vote, manifestos come up as well. So you can find out loads more about our candidates. There is more than just tonight to find out stuff. And the Sustainability Officer is a new role, really, really important, as we all know, to have thoughts and policies about sustainability. So we would like to invite the entertainment officers now to give us a lovely little chat. So for that, we've got 3 candidates. We've got Simi, Liam, and Ege Niven. So if you get all called in, if you're not called in, let's put your hand up. And hello. Oh, look at that.
Sorry, Liam is not feeling well, so I'm holding the fort down for both of us.
That's okay. So
really ill right now. Yeah.
That's fine. So for those who don't know, Simi and Liam are running on slate, meaning that they have a co-campaign. The ENTS officer role is not ear, nose, throat, as when I ran, someone contacted me to join the ENTS committee and thought that I meant ear, nose, throat, and they were very disappointed when I told them ENTS is for entertainment. So hopefully you're finding my presenting entertaining, but if not, well, I'm sorry. But there we go. So Liam and Simi are running together, and the entertainment officer role is a dual role. So there are 2 officers. So we will hear from Simi, and we will hear from, is it Ege Nevin? Is that correct? Ege, what do you, Ege Nevin, which one?
Hello, it's Ege Nevin.
Ege Nevin. Okay, thank you so much. Fantastic. So we've got a question from Lucy, who's put her hand up. Can we get that question from Lucy? Hello, Lucy.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Good. Hi, guys. My question is, with COVID restrictions hopefully easing so far, and when you guys whoever it is takes their role next year, hopefully it will be a less. How are you going to accommodate for students who will still be needing to isolate or keep away from social conditions due to chronic conditions, etc., and how will you also be mindful of health anxiety and COVID anxiety next year?
Okay, fantastic. Do we have any other questions? We've got Kat. Kat. Do you want to come in and ask your question?
Hi, sorry.
Hello.
I was just going to ask, same as Lucy, with hopes that they'll be allowed in September, in-person events. Do you have any ideas or plans for regular club night events, and how would you improve engagement with these in the Griff?
I love how you clarified it has to be in the Griff.
Yeah.
No offense to Drapers, but Griff has my heart. So Simi and Ejin Evan, as you know, you have 45 seconds to answer each question. We'll start with the question surrounding accommodating for those who perhaps won't be able to come to campus or come to packed events. And we will start with Ejin Evan, if that's okay. So you have 45 seconds starting now.
Okay, so first of all, thank you for the question. That is something I've also thought about. So as we all know, the Prime Minister has said that starting from 26th of June, if everything goes well, there will be no restrictions at all, but we still should prepare for the worst and hope for the best. So I've conducted a survey amongst our student body, and most of the answers were that they would like to see hybrid system for our events, which is basically both in-person and online events. So I think we could do in-person events for people who can attend so that they have the opportunity to have their freshers experience finally, but also online events for people who are not able to attend due to various reasons like health or travel.
I'm afraid. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Simi, holding the fort for yourself, and Liam.
Yeah.
Here we go. Liam was just too shy to come tonight, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He knew we'd get all 44 attendees and thousands on Facebook Live, I'm sure. So, okay, so are you ready to answer your question?
Yeah, so
starting now.
Okay, so echoing kind of what Eggy said, basically, yeah, similar, would just do a hybrid of both in-person and online events, similar to how they've been doing the pub quizzes kind of in September when people were in person, but also over Zoom. And we do a mix of things and like help societies and sports clubs to do that, to just allow people to feel comfortable with COVID, but also restrict numbers in terms of the Griff, particularly at the start, just so people feel comfortable being back in a social environment. So then popularity of it will increase, and also we can have more events in a week with less people, so people feel more comfortable and have more fun, really. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, great. So then we had a second question, and that was about, I'm trying to remember what the second question was. I can't remember myself. Does anyone remember?
Yeah, like regular club nights.
That was it. Thank you so much. There we go. So yes, we were talking about how we would work on kind of club night style events in the Griff and increasing engagement there, and what the ideas are in terms of what to provide. So we'll start with Simi this time. Are you ready? You've got 45 seconds starting now.
So I think it's really important. I don't really like the word club night because I think it doesn't include drinking and non-drinking people. So we want to create, having spoken to quite a few societies who are particularly non-drinking, we want to create activities that aren't necessarily centered around drinking, but also just like collaborate with other sports clubs and societies to help headline their events. So we can say, let's say do one with ISOC and have some sort of plan. So it's not just go to the Griff and drink, which can happen also, but we want a kind of variety to include the most like inclusive body of the students. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And Ejin Evan, your turn. Are you ready? Starting now.
Okay, so first of all, thank you for the question. So about engagement, first of all, I wanted to say that I think we should centralize all events on our social media and newsletter because not everybody has social media. And for the club nights, of course, inclusivity is important because we have non-drinkers and commuters. And I also think we could expand to our recovery room in the Griffin, which is on the above floor. For people who don't necessarily want to hear the loud music all the time, we can also have more activities, and solutions to our most important issue, which is queuing, would be to scan the tickets and also to have time slots for our tickets, so there's not too many people at the same time entering, and also to pre-order the drinks to our table, so when you arrive you have the drinks at your table and then you can scan the QR and order.
I'm afraid. Thank you so much. Okay. Are there any additional questions from anyone? We might move for a third question if we have one. Okay, well, thank you so much. You've got 45 seconds now for your closing statements, to mention anything that you feel like you haven't been able to mention or that you think is important to mention at this stage. So we will start with Simi. No, we'll start with Edging this time. Are you ready?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I can start?
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, my main goal would be to ensure that current first years get the real experience to have a freshers fortnight along with our new freshers, and also to increase our inclusivity and diversity of events and engagements, because there's a lack of interactions at them. I would say that we're living very unpredictable and difficult times, so I will try my best to ensure that we respect all the safety regulations. And I would really love to say that I am a perfect candidate because I can bring a fresh perspective, and as well as rely on my skills and experience of attending Barts and Queen Mary's events, as well as professionally organizing events for embassies. So I'd really love to be given the opportunity to be entertainment officer in order to make Barts a home away from home for everybody and to make everybody feel welcomed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, fantastic. And Simi, I'll give you 45 seconds as well. You may start now.
So on behalf of Liam and I just want to say that we both have a lot of experience in sports, societies and volunteering. So we're really excited as a great pair to work with people with all societies to put on the best events possible. Again, echoing you, I know COVID will make it quite difficult times, but we just want to make everyone feel as safe but have as much fun as possible, because I know everyone's social calendar has been robbed this year. And the only other point would be Liam and I are such good mates. We live together. There'd be no one else who'd be a better pair to be entertainment officers together. So yeah, long story short.
Thank you so much. Fantastic. So that was our entertainment officers. Big round of applause for them as well, and all our previous candidates. We are whizzing through it, which is fantastic. So we then now have our Gozo Society president. We have a couple of people running for that role. Let me get my slides up. I have so many files open on my computer to follow this through, everyone, so I apologize. So we've got a duo running, and who are Sharia and Farzine, and then Tiago running as well. Are any of them there? If you are, please put your hand up. On an update on our attendees, we are now at 46. Very impressive. We've gone up by 47. Wow, amazing. So thank you all for joining us. And for those of you watching from Facebook Live, I hope you're enjoying it as well. This will be available after the event on social media for people to rewatch if they want. I am assuming that we do not have our Gozo Society president candidates. Let me check the chat to make sure that's fine. Not named in chat, so that is completely fine. So we'll move on, but as I said, all the information is on qmsu.org/elections, so you can find out more about them there. Do not hesitate to do that. So we're now going to move on to our activities positions, which is going to be very fun, very exciting. We have our societies candidate, Carolina, straight in there. Thank you, Tom. Tom is behind the scenes doing lots of things for us. Oh, we have Alexander, who I believe is, okay, yes, there we go. We've got Alexander as well. Hello, hello, hello. Fantastic. Let me just change my slides. So we've got Carolina and Alexander running. let me just firstly check by making sure I am saying your names correctly. Yes, great. Thank you so much. That's good to know. And as you know now, by now, I hope, we've got 45 seconds for each question. Do we have any questions from the audience? Also, I like this. This is a virtual background kind of section now. I fixed mine as well, which is great. Although the blue makes me look even redder than I am in real life, which is great. So, Charlie, you put your hand up very briefly. Charlie Seller, do you want to ask a question? Fab. Oh, he's right in there. Hello, Charlie.
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh my God, look at the microphone set up.
Yeah, so my question was kind of now that COVID has stopped societies and now we're kind of hopefully going to be restarting them back in September or even further onwards. What's one thing that you want to leave behind in terms of the way societies are run, or anything that kind of, you know, you want to change now that societies are starting again?
Okay, so that's your first question. Then, do we have any other questions? Oh, Barbara's right in there. So, Barb.
Oops, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, my question is, what do you think will be your hardest challenge for next year as Societies Officer, if elected?
Thank you, Barbara. We've got 2 questions. We'll leave it at 2 questions there, and then we'll come back if there are any additional questions. So, Carolina and Alexandra, are you both happy with those questions? We understood the question, perfect. So the first question was from Charlie, and it was about what you think you want to do with societies following COVID, anything new you want to try. So can we start with Carolina, please? So you have 45 seconds, you may start now.
Thank you for the question. Because of COVID, most of the society's events have been held online, and that has both its advantages and disadvantages. So one thing would be to make those events that can be held in person to get people actually a chance to meet the committee members. And some of those events are actually better performed in person. So if there is such a possibility, that would be great. And also to get a chance finally for the freshers to get involved. This year, it's been extremely difficult for them to reach everyone at social media. So a big thing would be to make a comprehensive list for them to actually get a chance to, you know, participate in every single one of those societies that we have, because there is a lot, and I think they have missed out a little bit.
Thank you so much. There are a lot of societies, so many. They're all amazing. So that's great. Alex, do you prefer Alex or Alexander?
Alex, please.
Fantastic. I thought so. Just double confirming. So Alex, you have the same question, 45 seconds. You may start now.
Yeah. Well, everything that Carolina said, I completely agree with. We need to try and make the freshers and even the second years more engaged with everything. But I also think that we should also prepare, make sure the room booking systems and the external speaker stuff are streamlined, and try and remove as many kinks as possible, just so that it makes event planning both online and in person easier for all the society's committees as well, and just providing them with support for those things, especially for the new presidents who are going to be coming into the new age next year.
Thank you very much. That's a great answer. I really enjoyed the new age element of it. It sounds very new age. Great. I hope it is a new age. I hope we have a new world with no more COVID. Fantastic. And we had our second question now for both of you, which was around, gosh, I'm so sorry. I've forgotten the question again. This is awful.
The hardest challenge.
The hardest challenge.
Thank you. That was it. And the hardest challenge for me is apparently remembering 2 sets of questions at a time. So, Alex, you'll go first if that's okay. So you've got 45 seconds.
Yep.
Ready. Go.
Well, I mean, the hardest challenge, well, at first, this is a very hard question to answer, because you would need to be in that role to be able to know what's going on, because there's a limited amount that you can do just from observing and asking people from on the outside, but you need to be in that role to be able to fully experience and then see any nooks and crannies that are about. So it's very much just trying to keep everything going and trying to revamp everything, really.
Thank you very much. Are you saying we couldn't have predicted a worldwide pandemic back in 2020? What? Fantastic. Right. So Carolina, it is your turn. You've got 45 seconds for the same question. What's your biggest?
Thank you. So being a second year, I have noticed that many of my younger friends actually are having a great deal of trouble finding out what societies are. How do you join a society? What's the committee? How do you participate in elections, etc.? So a big step would be to include them in the freshers events that will be happening, and to actually host an event, for example, where we go in and we say, you know, this is what the societies are. We have quite many. And if you want to become a member, that's how you do it. And that would, I think, encourage them to participate a little bit more, because we have seen that during online events, the participation has been, well, quite lower, especially during first years and second years. So that's a big thing for next year, I think.
Thank you so much. Just in the nick of time. So I did say we'd go back to see if there were any additional questions. So does anyone else want to ask our societies officer a further question? No. Okay, I might ask a quick question if that's okay. I need to get it open. I am just.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I will ask one little question, one sneaky little question. So it's been touched upon a little bit, but I'll give you a little bit more time essentially to answer this. But we've talked about societies and how this year it's been a really difficult year for them to get new members and promote themselves. What would be your specific plan to enable societies to gain new members and promote recruitment? And yes, and keeping in mind that some people might still not be able to come back to campus due to COVID. So we have 45 seconds. Carolina, you'll go first this time. That's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. So I do have quite a few ideas that I would like to introduce beginning of next year. One of them is a Google Calendar with all the events that can be added to your own, that can be distributed to freshers. Another one would be a freshers booklet, which can be used by anyone who didn't know that some societies exist, and it just gives a layout of what they do. I would like also societies, academic ones especially, to introduce curries or taster sessions, much like sports clubs do. So you bring the committee together and bring the new people together, and it kind of introduces them to the people rather than just the academic side of it. And a small thing would be to make WhatsApp groups. I don't know if you know, but academic societies don't have WhatsApp groups like sports clubs do. So I think that would help, at least in my experience.
Fantastic, thank you so much. And Alex, same question to you. Promotion of recruitment, essentially. Whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that was done well this year is that there was the introduction of the BLSA bulletin, the BL Society's bulletin on the Instagram page, which gives a very nice summary of the week's events. So I'd continue that, but then also once we do go back on campus, having society use those facilities more, because there's TV screens everywhere. And not many societies know that they can actually use it. And so the TV streams, there's one right outside of Perrin where all the first and second years can easily see all the events that go by. And it would also be a good chance to encourage staff members to join some events as well, just to bring that whole sense of community.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Alex. Thank you, Carolina. You have 45 seconds now for your closing statements. If you want to add anything else or have any kind of other initiatives you want to mention, we'll start with Alex this time. Are you ready, Alex? Fantastic.
Yep.
Go ahead.
So during my time at Barts, societies have been a huge part of my life here. And so I've been part of different societies, academic, cultural societies, even like performance societies. And I've taken up various committee positions that taught me different skills, and it allowed me to hone some of my current skills as well. So I really just want to give back to the societies and be the support and voice that they need to help them flourish.
Great, thank you so much. And then Carolina, do you want to go next, please?
Yeah.
You have 45 seconds starting now.
Thank you. So this year I had a privilege of being on committee on 7 different societies, and it has been challenging, but it's exactly what inspired me to run for this role, because there's a lot of people in the background that do so much work for all of those online events that pop up on your Facebook pages. And I think because we need to prepare for both in-person and online events, I think we need more technical support, especially with those cool conferences that a lot of the societies host. So I think there is a lot of support that societies can get, and it doesn't really matter how the events will be run in person or online. I think we should be proud because there is so much of them, and the promotion that they get, it could be better, and that's what I hope to help them out with.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. It was lovely hearing both of your thoughts, ideas, concerns, expectations. Yeah, I slipped that in there somehow. And I'll good luck on election time, which again, voting opens March 1st, which is on Monday, I believe at 10 a.m. So make sure you all get voting, qmsu.org/elections. You will get bored of hearing me saying that. So next we've got our volunteering officer. We have a couple of people running for that position, I believe. We have Manu and Ella, but I believe, Manu, you're the only person. I believe Ella's not made it today. So welcome,
Hello.
welcome. Hello,
Hi.
hello. Can I just double check that I'm pronouncing your name okay, or how do I pronounce it? Just to check.
Sorry, what did you say?
Pronouncing your name, how do we pronounce your name?
It's Mahanor.
Mahanor, lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's good, because I was saying it wrong, so I apologize for that. So our other candidate hasn't arrived, so if you want to find out more about their ideas, you can go on qmsu.org/elections. But Mahanor, you've got 45 seconds to answer any questions that people come up with. So do we have any questions from the audience? Annie has put her hand up. So Annie, do you want to come in? Annie May. Hello. Hi, Annie.
Hello.
Ask your question.
So I just wanted to ask, provided that COVID kind of goes away a bit, do you have any ideas for brand new events that haven't been done before, that in terms of anything, just one-off volunteering or things for volunteering groups, just any like new ideas that you have that you think would be good?
Fantastic.
Okay.
And then we've got a question. I think I saw Vavra's hand go up slightly. I don't know if Vavra used to have a question. If you do, please put your hand up.
Apparently, Barbara was going to ask the same thing.
It was the same question. Look at that. Fantastic. Well, great minds. Let me see. Let me see if I can muster up a question. What we'll do is we'll start with this question, and then we'll see if anyone else has any additional questions afterwards, if that's okay. So, Mahanor, you've got 45 seconds to answer the question around any new events that you can think of for volunteering groups in a non-COVID world. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, sure. So I've got a couple of ideas which kind of integrate the previous events, but one big event that I really want to bring to life is having more socials, in-person socials where people can come in and students, and they're able to do some volunteering together. They're able to learn about more volunteering opportunities, but also at the same time form networks and make friends. So I think that's something I would really like to do regularly, maybe twice a term or maybe once a term. Another thing I would like to do is, I feel like volunteering groups do so much for us, and sometimes it can go unrecognized. Therefore, I also want to have termly volunteering group fairs where everyone's invited and volunteering groups can showcase all the work they do and students can learn how to take part. So these are the big events I want to do. Is the timer up? Okay.
Don't worry. Thank you so much. Any additional questions for our wonderful volunteering candidate? Nope. Okay. I have a question, if you don't mind. A very quick one. So volunteering, oh my gosh, I'm getting a phone call from my mum. Volunteering is interlinks with a lot of different areas within Barts in London. How would you ensure that all key stakeholders, including other reps, are engaged and active within the process? You have 45 seconds. Is that okay?
Okay.
You can start now.
Okay, thank you. In terms of integration, that's one of my big points. And I really want to make sure, being a dental student, I do feel like sometimes I can be a bit left out from the BLSA board and being a part of the whole BLSA group. So in that sense, integration comes first for me. And the way I would make sure that I'm integrating and working with all the other reps is by communication. And I want to make sure that it's all the events are advertised the right way. It's across various platforms, and I'm able to work with different branches of BLSA and make sure that they're also able to reach out for their groups. And it's about value. If you make people feel valued, if you let them know that their opinions matter, and if you want to get feedback from them, I feel like they're more willing to work with you. So that's something I would want to do.
I'm so sorry to cut you off, but lovely. That was lovely to hear. So you'll be happy to know I will no longer ask you any more questions. This is now your little 45 seconds to just add in anything you wanted to talk about. So you've got 45 seconds whenever you're ready.
Okay, sure. So guys, with all the ideas I've already given, I also want to widen community engagement. I want to work with care homes, care facilities, food banks, and schools. And in terms of experience, I've been in more than 5 societies. I've undertaken various responsibilities. I've been an active volunteer at university since first year. I've worked with big groups like Teddy Bear Hospital. And last year I did 3 big fundraisers, I feel like all these experiences have prepared me for the role of a volunteering officer. So the choice you make will shape your volunteering future. So please make the right choice. My Instagram is Mahanur for Volunteering Officer. So if you have any questions or you want to know what I've been up to or see my campaign, please go see it.
Fantastic. And if you want to find out more about that, you can go on chemistry.org/elections. I'm sure you've put your social media on there as well. So
thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay. We're going to move on now to sports. And so who do we have for sports? Sorry, I'm trying to open all my slides. It's gone. Oh no, that's not the right presentation. What a disaster. Here we go. We've got Olivia running. And as well as Olivia, we've got Shengzi. And I'm very sorry if I've mispronounced that. Do we know if our other candidate is here? It seems like they might not be. So we will therefore have Olivia talk to us a little bit. Again, with the other candidate, you can find out more about their policies, ideas on chemistry.org/elections. Hi, Olivia, how are you?
Hi, I'm all right. Thanks. How are you?
Good, thanks. It's been a long time since I've seen
it. It has.
But there we go. So we've got 45 seconds, as you know, to answer some questions. Numa has already got her hand up, so she is ready to go. Let's bring her in. Hi, Numa. Please.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm back again.
We love it. We love it. It's good.
I always have too much to say. That's why. But hi, Olivia. It's lovely to see you today. So my question is about increasing accessibility to sport for, I guess, specific groups of students who might not feel comfortable participating in, say, like a regular like mixed gender sports club or something like that, and how you could, like, I guess, provide equivalent things to help them. So for example, like uniforms or uniforms for matches and stuff, how you could make that a bit more accessible. If you had ideas for what guidance you could give to sports teams for how they could do that, and stuff like that.
Do you mean in terms of making uniforms unisex, or in terms of making female only or male only?
Yeah, I guess it could be unisex, or making sure. So for example, if some people don't want to, or they want to wear a more modest uniform, but they feel like they can't, do you have some ideas for how you could provide guidance to sports teams or sports clubs?
about that.
Are you happy with that question, Olivia?
Yes, I think
Yes.
so.
I just saw you trying to answer it yet, but we've just got another question. So give us a little bit of time. We've got Vavra's just come in, and she's got a question. So Vavra, hello. Please ask away your question. Aphrodite will come to you afterwards. We'll take 2 questions at a time. So Vavra.
Hi, Olivia. Hi again. So it's kind of similar to Numa's question, but it's for a different group of people. So it's more for people who do not want to join sports or feel like discouraged from joining sports because of the drinking culture. And I was wondering if you've got any ideas of how that could be tackled.
Okay, thank you so much, Barbara. What I'll do with those questions then is I might combine them but give you more time to answer, so there'll be multiple elements, and then we'll bring Aphrodite's question in. So I'll give you kind of 60 seconds for this question, and I'll ask you to ask about kind of how do you intend to increase participation in sport, with a focus on the group that Numa was talking about, and perhaps kind of policies in terms of kit, and then as well as Barbara's question about drinking culture and those who feel uncomfortable joining sport, perhaps because of that. So you'll have 60 seconds for that question, then we'll come to Aphrodite and Tom. Are you okay, Olivia, to answer that question? Okay.
Yes, I think
whenever
so.
you're ready.
All right then. Okay, I think in general, increasing participation in sport, particularly after the year we've had, is really, really important. And I think through intensive marketing and dedicated events is at the beginning of the year, focusing on freshers and also older years who've missed out on traditional sporting opportunities throughout the last year and a bit. I think in terms of uniforms, my plan is, especially in terms of committees have lost out on quite a lot of experience, have not been running the sports clubs for the year. My plan is to write some quite detailed FAQs and guidance for club presidents at the beginning of the year. And I think information about uniform policies and FAQs and suggestions for them, I think would be helpful, as well as encouraging them to continue the female-only sessions that they ran as part of This Girl Can, and they were before then as well. And
sorry, what I'll do is I'll add a little bit more time for the second question, so we'll just get 45 seconds for each of their individual questions. So I'm just trying to think of that in my mind. 45 plus 45. Oh my god, it's 90. Okay, you've gone a little bit over. I'll give you 20 seconds or so to answer that second question, if that second half of the question. Is that okay?
Yeah, no, just really quickly, because I think addressing the drinking culture around sports is really important. And I think aside from encouraging non-drinking students to come to events and come to sporting societies, I think having dedicated activities as part of socials that are other than sitting in the griff having drinks, and have them organised as once a month or once a term, would be a step.
That's time, no worries. Thank you so much, Olivia. We've got a couple more questions. Aphrodite, I see you put something in the chat. Are you still happy to, are you still wanting to ask a question? Put your hand up if you are. Oh, she's in. There we go, fantastic. Hi, Aphrodite. No worries, Tom as well. So let's start with your question, please, Aphrodite.
Hey Olivia, I hope you're okay. Sorry about the bad lighting in the kitchen. I was just wondering, obviously we are looking forward to an ideal year where everything is face-to-face, but for those students who may be stuck in other countries, or if the national guidelines change again, how are you going to ensure that people are still engaged with sports if they can't necessarily directly be in like our campus?
Okay.
Can I start?
We'll bring Tom in as well to ask his next question, if that's okay, Olivia. Tom, do you want to ask your question?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Hi.
Oh, wonderful. So I'm just wondering, Merger Cup hasn't happened this year. Well, it's not going to happen this year. It didn't happen last year. Do you think we should still have a Merger Cup? And if so, is there anything you'd want to do to change the Merger Cup? in any way?
Thank you very much, Tom. I will clarify, we are having a merger, but just not the traditional merger. It's going to be an online campaign around some exciting things that your sports officer will disclose close to the time. At least that's the plan. So
March is on.
Yeah. So but we all understood the question anyway, and an important one, which is close to many people's hearts. So the first question was Aphrodite's question around accessibility to sport for those who might not be able to come back to campus. And then the second question was Tom's one, but we'll focus on Aphrodite's question first. You've got 45 seconds for that one. Is that okay?
Yes.
And you can start.
Okay, so in terms of accessing sport from other countries, I think the start of that is that lots of clubs have been very successful in running online versions of sports societies as much as they can during lockdown. And I think encouraging that in some skeleton format would be a good start to keep people engaged who are not able to be physically present, as well as keeping social media very active and engaging. And also making sure that in terms of buying subs and buying membership to these sports societies, that they can be for whenever they come back. So it can be from halfway through the year for term 2, term 3, depending on what their situation is.
And that's time, I'm afraid. Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Olivia. And then the second question from Tom around Merger Cup. So you've got 45 seconds again, whenever you're ready.
Well, Merger 2022 will definitely be back in swinging in full format. I think in terms of making it more engaging and we did a bit of work before pre-pandemic cancellation about this year about having merger live streamed and having events commentated to make sure that as when events are happening through various campuses, people can be engaged and involved in the whole event throughout the day. And that's how I'd change it. Let's bring it on.
Fantastic. Bring it on. Okay, thank you so much, Olivia. You've got 45 seconds now to touch upon anything else that you want to just touch upon and mention anything that you think is worth mentioning. So this is your closing statement, 45 seconds, whenever you're ready.
Okay. So I've been involved in sport throughout my entire time at Barts. I think it's provided such an amazing opportunity and community around it. And I think that keeping that going and bringing that into post-pandemic life is really important. And I want to be able to bring back that amazing community and amazing feeling that goes around all of the very passionate people that go towards sport. And I've got lots of ideas. Follow me on Olivia for BL Sport. You can see more of them there. I think I've run out of time.
10 seconds.
Oh, 10 seconds. Oh God, now I finished.
That's okay. That's fine. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Olivia. Thanks for joining us. Take care, and we'll move on to our next wonderful position. So we're moving into our education positions. So these are the reps that kind of represent students' education, go to meetings with the university to represent educational needs. We all know how hugely important that's been this year with COVID. And we have first up the Allied Courses rep, who represents all of our Allied Courses students. That includes global health, neuroscience, and pharmacology and innovative therapeutics. So we've got 2 candidates for this role. Pollen, who's just joined us here. Pollen, please do turn on your camera, and also do let me know if I'm mispronouncing your name in any way.
No, that is perfect. Actually, surprisingly good for,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. And then I think we've got Malvika as well, but I think my understanding is that she's not here. But if he or she is not here, but if they are, could they put their hand up? No? Okay, fantastic. So, Colin, you are running for Allied Courses rep.
Yes.
I'm assuming you've seen how we've done this for the other roles. So you've got 45 seconds to answer any questions that are brought up.
Okay.
So any questions for the Allied Courses? Okay, so I will ask a question. If you have a question, please do put your hand up. My first question will be around the global health course. So the global health course, as you know, is stopping its intake, or has stopped its intake for this year, and is planning to stop its intake next year. We have put a lot of effort as a students' union to try and rectify that wrong, to make sure students are supported and to fight so that those who are staying on the course are not disadvantaged by this decision. What steps do you think you could take to continue this and ensure that the global health course students who are still at Barts of London still feel part of our community and supported by the university? You've got 45 seconds to answer that question. Are you okay with the questions? Happy with it?
Yeah, thank you.
So whenever you're ready, you may start.
I think, first of all, it is important to, understand why the opportunity was shut down for global health students and subsequently, lobby the student union into colleges' decisions regarding allied courses. I also know that, global health students do not receive weekly emails and newsletter from SU and also BLSA, unlike neuroscience and pharmacy. Therefore, they often feel detached from what is going on and they're unaware of welfare, mental health, and financial support services. Therefore, I aim to publicize and signpost these resources to all allied courses, of course, including, global health. And also, I aim to arrange shared career fairs specifically as well for global health, so that, they're aware of the diverse job opportunities that they have.
Great, that's really good. Yeah, I know there's a problem with that email. I'm trying to fix it, but it's a pain. But yes, very, very important. We want to make sure all our allied courses students are recognised. Do we have any other questions for Colin at all? No, I'm just going to check the time to make sure we're on time. Okay, Colin, I'll give you 45 seconds to close if that's okay.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah? Okay,
yeah.
Fantastic. So if you have 45 seconds on the clock to give us your thoughts on anything else you wanted to add, and you may start now.
So even though I have specific targets that I want to achieve during this role, which include encouraging inclusivity and diversity, as well as increasing sustainability, I'm highly aware that my role is reactionary. Hence, my priority will always be to actively listen to students and give them a space to voice their concerns via holding allied courses specific student forums. Hopefully, you can tell from my manifesto that I thought hard on how I can improve student experience within the allied courses. And being a course rep for 2 years, getting involved in student societies and being in constant touch with previous allied courses reps have prepared me well for undertaking great amounts of responsibility. Therefore, as an experienced, driven, and approachable candidate, I refuse to let you down and cannot wait to start implementing my ideas.
Thank you so much. Really, really.
No, thank you for this opportunity, honestly.
No
thank you for doing this.
Fantastic. Okay, well, thank you so much, Colin. That was really great. I'm sure people will have many more questions. Please do check it out on chemistry.org/elections. You can ask your questions to our candidates through their social media and stuff, not just allied course, but any candidate. The allied courses are a huge part of Barts of London, and I know there's lots more that can be done to make them feel more welcome. We've heard a couple of things here this evening, so do get involved with that. So we've got our dental rep position next, but I believe they couldn't make it. But just in case they were able to make it, we've got Simran. Is Simran here at all? If they are, please put your hand up. No. So the dental representative is the dental faculty rep, and they look after dental students and their education needs as well. Again, chemistry.org/elections is where you'll find out more about people running in that role. So then we've got our GOZO rep next, and person running for that is Yusuf. So is Yusuf here? If they are, please put your hand up. Okay, it seems like Yusuf hasn't made it this evening either. So we'll move on to preclinical rep. So we've got a few candidates for this. We've got Rama, Daniel, and Abdulaziz. I'm so sorry. How do I pronounce your name, please?
You can just call me Aziz.
Aziz. Okay, fantastic. Thank you. And then Daniel, pronunciation is okay there. And then Rama, is that correct? Or correct me if I'm wrong, please. Am I pronouncing your name okay?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, well, lovely to meet you all and see you all. Thank you so much for coming. You've got 45 seconds to answer any questions we have. We will take some questions from the audience, so if they could all raise their hands. We've got James. So James, you come in and ask your question, please. Hi, James.
Hello. Hi, everyone. My question is, as we shift back to in-person teaching, how will you continue to build a good relationship with the Malta campus?
Okay, that's one question. And then I'm just going to double check that we don't have any questions on Slido, just to make sure, because I think we did have a couple of questions. So one person asked, as a second question, how much experience of university level student representation do you have? Have you done a similar role before? So what we'll do is we'll start with the first question, which was from James, and you've got 45 seconds each to answer that question. The question was around relationship with the Malta campus. So we're going to start with Rama, if that's okay. So you've got 45 seconds and your time starts now.
So I think that the relationship with the Malta campus is very essential to create that sense of community of Barts and not that separation between Malta and London. So I think, well, we got used to online university and online events, and due to the distance, I think that would be a option as well. So do some sort of social events, games, or quizzes, or any of those sort of social events, to make sure that the students get to know each other, maybe also in small groups, depending on their interest as well. So that is certainly something I'd like to work on, because I know that there is this separation between the two campuses, which doesn't, again, create that sense of community that should be at Barts.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to go to Aziz next, if that's okay. So Aziz, you've got 45 seconds. Your time starts whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so I agree with Rahma. I think doing lots of events that where both students from both campuses can attend is really good to build a sense of community. As well as I think when we go back to in-person teaching, I think I would like to stress to do the SSCs where you can travel to Malta, bring them back, because I think that really students really like to do that, and I think it really brings the campuses closer together and makes them feel like a big community. Other than that, I can't think of anything else.
Okay, thank you very much. And then Daniel, you are our last person to answer this question. So you've got 45 seconds. Are you ready? Thank you. You may start whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I already know there's some slight disparity that already exists between.
Sorry, Daniel, I'm going to stop you there before I don't know if it's just for me, but your audio is quite quiet.
Is this any better? I'll just talk more into the mic.
Maybe a little bit. Can you bring the mic closer at all?
Yeah. Okay, how's that? Is that better?
It might be. It's a little bit better. We'll try our best with it. How are people hearing it? Tom, what do you think? Sorry,
I think it's quiet but audible. If we all sort of are quiet, and if Daniel, you really shout, then I think we can hear you.
Yeah, I'll just talk.
The joys of Zoom. I never thought we'd be telling people to shout in a microphone, but there we go. Okay, thanks, Daniel. So the question is about Gozo and the relationship with Gozo. So you've got 45 seconds whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I appreciate there's already some slight disparity between the Malta campus and the London campus, particularly because of what's been happening with COVID. So alongside things that have already been said, so making sure that there are events that cross over and there's more interaction and more SSCs where both people can access it. It would also be around making sure that people feel they're being represented in their educational standards in the same way. So, for example, there's some issues this year where some Malta students haven't had the same representation because of their in-person activities and different grading systems that is being slightly affected. So just making that more universal would be a major goal as well, just from feedback I've had firsthand.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, so we had a second question, didn't we? Oh my gosh, did we? Well, back to this again. Let's put a poll out and just try and guess how many times I'm going to forget the second question. Can anyone remind me? Did we have? Yeah.
It was the experiences one.
Yes, it was. It was on our lovely Slack channel. That's why I couldn't put a face to who asked it. There we go. So the question was around what your experience is of a representative university role or similar roles. So we'll start with Daniel this time. You've got 45 seconds on the clock whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I've had quite a lot of experience as a rep. So I've been a rep, obviously, for this academic year at Barts itself. I've also been a rep at my previous university for totaling some over 6 years. I've been in the equivalent role to a preclinical rep at my previous university as well, because I was the senior rep, which was their equivalent of it. Even at secondary school, this is going back a while now for me, I was also a representative there. So I've had coming up to probably over a decade of experience of being a representative, which I believe was probably a unique thing that I can give compared to the other people standing for this position.
Okay, thank you very much, Daniel. And we will now go to Aziz. So if you answer the same question, you've got 45 seconds whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so I think I've had a lot of experience back in high school where I was in the student council for 3 years. Yeah, that's where I kind of did the same thing, campaigning and, get the votes and stuff. And I think I was able to voice the concerns of all the students in my class to the teachers. But I think in uni, I haven't been able to do much. And I think this would be a great opportunity for me to put myself out there, and I'm very willing and enthusiastic, and I will try to listen to the students' concerns and voice them to the university.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Aziz. So we've got Rama next. Same question, 45 seconds. Are you ready? Your time.
This is my first degree, so all my experiences are from high school. So in my 4 or 5 years of high school, I was year rep twice, so for 2 years consecutively, which is similar to what this role would be, which is like voicing the students and their concerns regarding their academic life, etc. And also I was rep of the school, so represented the school in the student council in the county, which consisted in representing the school's issues in the student council at the county. I don't think this is in the UK because I used to go to Italy, so that's characteristic of there, which these experiences helped me, get to know the role and what it requires.
That is time. Do we have any other additional questions? We are a little bit tight on times, but because we've got all candidates and it is a contested position, we'll go. James, your question is in. So, James, feel free to ask your question, please.
Hello, me again. What do you think is the most significant challenge that the preclinical years have faced during this pandemic, and how do you propose to fix it next year?
Thank you very much, James. So, Aziz, we'll go to you first this time. You've got 45 seconds to answer the question. Has everyone understood the question? They're all happy?
So during the pandemic, I think the most challenging thing is arranging OSCE practice and OSCE teaching. I think it's more important for first years because they don't have an OSCE at the end of the year, and they need to get more practice. And also second year, it's important to get as much opportunity to come to uni and practice before the exams. And the other challenging thing would be to kind of create a sense of community, because obviously you don't go into class. So I think maybe doing more kind of events and stuff would be really good.
Thank you so much. That's time. Okay, so Aziz, that's you done. We'll go to Rama next, if that's okay. So if you give us 45 seconds of your time to answer the question around what's been the biggest challenge this year and how are you going to correct it? You may
Students mainly chose Barts because of its integrating teaching, which is having early clinical experience at the beginning, which is something that none of us had, unfortunately. And we had some, but it was online, but not face to face, which changes a bit the layout of the experience. In fact, there has been some disparities, and students started complaining about the fact that they have not had any patient contact, etc. So this is something that I certainly would like to work on to create a standardization of the MedSoc experience. Likewise, the sense of community, the fact that especially commuters haven't met students, they feel lonely, they feel like they will not be able to integrate into the student life because of that. And also OSCEs is a big thing, because we haven't had the chance to practice clinical skills, and I'd like to propose also opening labs.
Okay, so Daniel, you are up next. So you've got 45 seconds as well, whenever you're ready.
Okay, so just from the actual things that have been messaged to me and the feedback forms that the reps have collated that also was headed by me. Yeah, in-person teaching is a huge issue and lack therein of. The fact that MedPro, for example, has been poorly organized and there's been lots of issues with that not being in person, and the integration of everything all together. And I, along with the other reps and also Matt, and obviously the whole Barts and London Student Union, have been instrumental in making sure there's an integrated teaching block again next year, so we have that experience to do the OSCEs and more detail with the OSCEs, and to get more exposure. And there should be hopefully more in-person experiences next year because of the work we've done.
Okay, thank you so much. Right, so now we'll do some closing statements. Aziz, I'll have you go first again, if that's all right. And then we'll go Daniel, and then we'll go Rama. Okay, so Aziz, if you start us off with your closing 45-second statement.
Yeah, sure. So I think as an international student, I've come from a school where, I was interacted with lots of different ethnicities and people, and I think I can, understand and just be able to understand a wider range of people and be able to voice their concerns. I think also as a second year student, I think I understand how hard it is for first and second years. And I think as a preclinical rep, I'll be able to better represent them and listen to their concerns and, voice them, of course. And then just to say, I just want to, give back, and I want to help. And I'm happy, I'd be happy to get an opportunity to do that. Thank you.
Fine. Thank you so much. Okay, fantastic. Then we've got Daniel, you're next. So 45 seconds when you're ready.
So I would mainly like to run because I want to further the role that I've already been doing for the last year, and also go further and expand over the knowledge base I've had over past, like I said, about 10 years. Again, I believe I'm the only candidate with this inherent experience and know how everything already works, and therefore can pick things straight up and know what people will need, and listen to that feedback and know how best to target that feedback. Also, I'd say that everyone should vote. Just want to make that clear for all of us are part of this. Every year, everyone needs to get involved, and that's so essential. My manifesto says everything else. There's more I'd like to do, but thank you very much for listening, and thank you for the event.
Thank you so much, Dan. So, Rama, you're next, closing the preclinical rep role whenever you're ready.
So I'm really passionate about, I know I've been here for only a couple of months, but I already joined a lot of societies and I'm already in the committee of some, which makes me involved in the community and understanding a bit more the Barts life and something that students can relate to as well. I'm really good at listening, which is why I assure you I'm going to take into consideration very carefully all your concerns and work in the best of my ability to ensure that you're satisfied with your year. And also I'd like to say, well, you can learn more about my plans, etc., from my manifesto. But I also trust immensely the I value immensely the trust people put in me. So I'll work again in the best of my ability to ensure that you are happy with it. And I think I'm approachable as well.
That's time, I'm afraid. Thank you so much. Okay, so thank you so much, all three of you. We will move on to clinical rep, and then everyone will be happy to know we have a comfort break that we'll spend 2-3 minutes on to get everyone comfortable. A lot of the candidates have mentioned their manifesto so far. Make sure you check them out on qmsu.org/elections. That will become a ringtone at some point. Okay, so James is here. He is our candidate for preclinical rep. James, we will ask if there are any questions. So how are you, James, by the way? Thank you for asking a question earlier on.
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm okay. I mean, I'm very red. My face has gone completely red like a tomato. Right, so we've got one question from Raksha. So if you ask your question, Raksha.
Sure. So this is kind of regarding placements pre-COVID, so just ignore the whole pandemic. So one of the biggest complaints that I heard when I was course rep was hospitals having too many students and students not being able to have enough face-to-face teaching or actual clinical experience. How do you think you can help the students who are, one, missing out on that experience, and two, not as confident of pushing themselves forward in larger groups on hospital placements?
Okay, thank you so much. So we'll write that question down this time so I don't forget it. And then we'll go to Tom next for the second question. Hello, Mr. Longbottom.
Hello. What was my question? Oh yeah. So we all know there's been some difficulties, probably is an understatement, with placements because of COVID and where students have been put and how they've been utilised and all that kind of stuff. What do you think are the biggest mistakes that the medical schools made during the pandemic, and what do you think they could have done better to improve medical students' experiences on placements?
Okay, thank you so much, Tom. So we'll take those two questions and then we'll come to the rest of the questions afterwards. So first question was that there are a lot of students on placements, some would say too many. What kind of support can you offer those students? You've got 45 seconds to answer. Are you happy to start, James?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay, whenever you're ready.
So placements, it's very hard to make sure you're getting the teaching you need. At placements, you very much need to put in the effort to get what you need out of it. So I think it's definitely worth working with all the students and ensuring that they know that they will get out of placement what they put in. And I think that's very important for learning. That will sort of carry through to being a doctor. In terms of there being too many students, I know that they have slightly adapted how some of the placements are going to be done, especially they changed third year teaching to integrated teaching rather than specific modules. So this may make it easier for the students to be sort of disseminated through the departments a bit more rather than all sort of clustered with the same sort of hospital staff and making it more difficult.
Okay, thank you so much, James. We have the second question, which was about the biggest pandemic mistake from the School of Medicine and Dentistry at Barts and London. You have 45 seconds to answer this question. Remember that everything here is being streamed live, but I'll let you answer your questions. So you've got 45 seconds whenever you're ready.
I firstly want to say that I think the university have done quite well at managing what's been happening during this pandemic, specifically the medical school. One large mistake I think that was made was the interruption to placement for year 3 students, and it working out that there being a sort of a total of 6 weeks of placement missing. Now, I know this was majorly a trust decision more so than the medical school, but I felt there could have been more avenues that the university should have gone down to push for placements for the year 3 students, not necessarily in hospitals, but even in some form of community-based medicine, or improving some form of online placement experience like the preclinical students had.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to take 2 more questions because there's quite a few questions that have come up, but I will cap it there. So I'm going to take the 2 next people to put their hands up because we do need to move on afterwards. So Lucy, your question, please. Hello, hello.
Hello. My question is, with the second years now coming into third year next year, and with our current third years not having an proper OSCE for a long time, how are you going to make these students feel comfortable and confident on wards, having not had any clinical exams?
Okay, thank you very much. And then we're going to take Numa's question as well, please. Hi, Numa.
Hi. Sorry, I'm back. I just wanted to ask James what his plans were to supporting our multi-campus next year and their clinical students or senior students, whatever we're calling them now. Yeah, so that was my main question.
Thank you very much, Numa. Okay, and that will be it for questions for this role. So James, you've got 2 questions. The first one being around the OSCE and lack of clinical skills exams. And then the second question being about Malta and how you're going to support students in Malta. So you've got 45 seconds for the first question on OSCEs. Your time starts whenever you're ready.
Yep. So in terms of clinical skills, it has been quite difficult, and especially for third years and even 4th years as well, everyone would have had different experiences of what placements they've been able to do and so what skills they're able to practice. So something that I've been working on this year as preclinical rep, and I know the clinical rep has done as well, is continue working with class to ensure that there's extra sessions available for all students to help continuously practice their skills. And I also want to aid them in being able to organise many mock OSCEs so that the students can be as prepared as possible for the OSCE at the end of the year.
Okay, thank you very much. And then the second question was about the multi-campus and the relationship there. So how are you going to support students in Malta? You've got 45 seconds again, and your time starts now.
Yep, so Malta was one of my big priorities whilst I've been preclinical rep this year. I even started attending their SSLCs because I felt it was just as important for me to be there as it is for them to be at the London ones. I made sure that I kept educating myself on what was happening with the COVID rules in Malta to help me understand more about the decisions that was happening during their education. And this is these 2 items of attending their SSLC and also keeping up to date with what's happening over there is something that I would like to bring to the clinical role, because they shouldn't be seen as a separate campus. We are the same cohort, especially with the numbers on the campus starting to increase now, and the first year of finalists at the Malta campus next year. I think it's extremely important that they are well represented.
And that's your time. Thank you so much. Okay, fantastic. Thank you, James. And of course, next year is the first year we're going to have a final year cohort in Malta, so that'll be exciting and interesting. You have 45 seconds now to close and mention anything else you wanted to mention at this time. And then after that, we will have a break for everyone. So, James, your 45-second closing statement starts whenever you're ready.
Thank you. So I think it's important to mention that I absolutely love to represent students. I've been doing it for as long as I can through high school, and I was a year one course rep last year, and I jumped at the opportunity to take up preclinical rep for this year. We've all faced a lot of challenges during this pandemic, and I've done a lot of work this year to help minimise the impact on students, and I would love the opportunity to continue this work into next year to make sure that all the students who have been interrupted for a year of teaching are not disadvantaged in their future and can still become competent doctors at the end of all of this.
Thank you so much. Fantastic. With 10 seconds to spare. Right. Give it up for James and all of our education reps who've spoken. Please do check out all their manifestos on chemistry.org/elections, and all of the other reps as well are on there. So we will take a 4-minute break and come back at 1:45, and then we'll start again. We are running relatively on time. You'll be happy to know. Yes, I think it's time for all of us to go to the bathroom. Please don't leave the call. Just mute yourselves and turn your cameras off, and then we'll come back in 4 minutes. Thanks. Hello, hello, everyone. We will start again. I'm sorry, I was taking a bite of an apple. I hope it's going well, everyone. I hope you're all taking care, you're all enjoying it. I hope candidates have realised it's not a stressful ordeal, it's a bit of fun, and a really good platform for all of us to get together and hear about all the fantastic ideas our candidates have. So we're going to move on to our next zone. So we're going to talk about our welfare reps now. I'm guessing we're all ready to start and ready to go. I haven't heard it otherwise. So let's get some candidates rolling in. So first of all, oh, apparently we can't see me. Am I the only one who can't be seen? Is there a problem? Tom, are you able to
other candidates? I can see Matt. Okay. What other?
Okay, it's fine.
You're
All
busy, right?
sorted. All sorted. Thank you so much. Thank you. So we will go on to BAME rep now, where we've got quite a few candidates. So some interesting, exciting discussions coming up. So we're just waiting for a few more. Shivani, hello. And who are we missing? Are we missing anyone? I think we were, perhaps one of them couldn't make it, if I remember well. So Nabila, I think we were waiting for. Is Nabila here? Please put your hand up. Nope. Okay. What I'll do quickly is, because there's three of us, we'll just quickly, I'll ask you to just give your names, please. So if we start with Shivani.
Hiya, my name is Shivani and I'm currently a third year medical student here.
Fantastic. Thank you. And then Isfahana.
Hi, my name is Isfahan and I'm a second year global health student.
Lovely. Thank you, Isfahan. Love to meet you. And Rayan.
Yeah, that's right. Hi, everyone. My name is Rayan Zafar and I'm currently a second year medical student.
Fantastic. Okay. So you know the drill now. We've got 45 seconds for each question. Vavra's got her hand up, so let's bring her in for her question. Hello, Vavra.
Hello again. Hi, everyone. So liberation reps have quite a lot of flexibility to what events they can organize. So I was wondering if you've got like any ideas of like any new projects you want to put on next year.
Thank you very much, Vavra. And then we'll take Panayotis's question, please. Panayotis, if you unmute yourself and show us your wonderful face.
Oh, here's my wonderful face. How are you doing? My question is, what are your plans regarding the future of anti-racism campaigns at Barts in London?
Thank you very much. Okay, so there are two questions. We've got one question about any new project ideas within the role, and then the next question is anti-racism projects. So we will start with Rayan first. If you start with 45 seconds, let me get my trusty timer in the form of a phone, and you will have 45 seconds. So whenever you are ready, you may start.
So essentially, a couple of events I was thinking is to work with the cultural societies at Barts. So, for example, Paxot, Indian Society, work with, because I know they have Paxot Ball and that sort of thing, and see what and help promote their balls. And hopefully by the end of the year, we could do a multicultural society at Ball. And this would involve all the societies coming together so they can be celebrated together. And this way, we can also do one at the beginning of the year for the freshers. And I think this will help the home to university change and meet other people from the same cultural background. But yes, that's my idea.
Thank you so much. So please all remember to like stay nice and close to the microphone. It was audible, but just a little bit, unless someone thinks that just needs to be, there were issues hearing that, in which case I'm happy to kind of give some more time. But if we think that was okay, Tom, just let me know. Then we'll go with Isfahan. So if you go next, you've got 45 seconds to answer the question. Any new project ideas?
So some of the projects I thought about were centered around large events like Black History Month, for example. I would really love to have events where we showcase and celebrate, big people who have really furthered Black people, in just not the ones in the mainstream, but lesser well-known ones. I've also wanted to look into working with faculty and other people in terms of doing more networking opportunities. I know myself and other global health students feel like sometimes there's not many opportunities available for us as opposed to other courses. So I'd love to create more networking and kickstarting careers type of events for BAME students specifically.
Thank you so much. Okay, and then Shivani, you're next. So you've got 45 seconds for the same question, whenever you're ready.
Okay, great. So my first idea was to make the multicultural ball that has happened for 2 years now into more of a flagship event that students can look forward to. But not just stopping there, I do think a fair of some sorts where cultural societies and religious societies can kind of showcase what they're all about. This could include like performances, food, art, just to showcase like the range of societies we have here. And I think this would also help for students to learn more about them and promote cultural sensitivity, cultural appreciation. Aside from this, I'd also like to organise discussions and events based around BAME representation and leadership, because there is,
That's okay, don't worry about it. Thank you so much. So we will move on to the next question, which was about anti-racism projects. We'll go with Shivani, you can start us off first as well. So are there any specific plans that you have in terms of anti-racism at Barts and the London? Really important topic. So your 45 seconds starts whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I'm going to be very quick. I think there are 3 steps to promote anti-racism at Barts. So the first one is to continue working with the Anti-Racism Steering Committee and promoting the things they're doing among cultural societies and students. The second thing is to teach all students how to be active bystanders, because currently this training is only really offered in societies, and also showing students where they can raise consent. And the last part is a more long-term goal of mine, which is to keep pushing for decolonization of the medical curriculum, removing unconscious bias, and just making sure that as many areas of the curriculum as possible are anti-racist.
Thank you so much, really interesting. So we've got Isfahan, if you go next. So you have 45 seconds again, whenever you're ready.
I actually really like this one. I'm a member of the Global Health Anti-Racism Committee, and a lot of what we do is basically showing people how to recognize discrimination and speak out against it when the opportunity arises. So what I would love to help other BAME students do is, for example, show their solidarity with faculty members who have experienced racism or discrimination in terms of supporting their strikes, putting pressure on the president and the leadership of the university, and also to listen to people when they do speak, as opposed to making people feel as though it's not a place for them to speak, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, okay, thank you so much. And then we've got Rayan, you've got 45 seconds as well, whenever you're ready.
So yeah, I think what I'd like to do is really try and work with all the sports societies and academic societies to try and get them to help and spread the anti-racism training that we give to them. And so, because I feel like there's a lot of uptake there, and so we would work really well. And as well, along with this, I'd like to promote like online forums where we can encourage the sharing of common experiences or issues that BAME students have had, such as myself. And then, as well as this, I think similar to Shivani, is lobby medical school curriculum to educate more about BAME patients who can present differently in some diseases, which I feel like is quite underrepresented at the moment by Barts, which is disappointing, but hopefully next year it's something we can do.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so do we have any further questions for our BAME rep candidates? Put your hands up if you've got a question. Okay, so that is all the questions for you guys. If anyone does have a question that they want to ask our reps, they can go to qmsu.org/elections and check out the manifestos, and also check out all the candidate social media pages and campaign pages and all of that. And I'm sure they'll be very happy to answer. But before you do that, there's 45 seconds each, more of a chance to kind of, we've got one question. Okay, Raksha, do you want to come in? We'll allow the question. Hello.
Sorry, I'll try and keep this short.
No, that's okay.
So you've all mentioned like things you want to bring in to the role, but what is one of the projects you want to continue that BAME reps have already made over the past couple of years? I don't know if that's already been partly answered. My internet's really bad.
It's okay. Thank you so much. Is everyone happy with the question? Okay, so you'll have 45 seconds to answer. Isfahan, you'll go first this time, and whenever you're ready.
I really think that BAME representatives working with other societies, such as the ISOC, other cultural societies on Barts, is one of the best things that they actually do right now, and something that I would love to continue. Mostly because many BAME students, they don't. Sometimes cultural societies don't interact with each other outside of. I mean, if it's not necessary, for example. So if the ACS and ISOC, for example, is unlikely that they do joint events, for example, because they don't really correlate on many levels. But that's something that I would love to do myself personally, because I feel like our experiences, although different, sometimes do overlap, and it's a way that we could all interact with each other and
thank you
better our uni experience.
That's time. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you very much. We'll go to Rayan next. You've got 45 seconds. Your time starts whenever you start speaking.
So I would also really like to carry on working with societies, so in particular the Afro-Caribbean Society. So obviously this month is Black History Month, and so I feel like it'd be really important next year to continue the Black Lives Matter movement, not just make it a one-year thing, carry it on, keep on promoting, working with the society, and then working with the other societies such as football, rugby, girls hockey, to keep the word going and spreading that. And then also working with other societies so for example with ISOC in the month of Ramadan, and hopefully spread this awareness as well, which is done as well.
Okay, thank you so much. And then we've got Shivani. You've got 45 seconds, and your time starts now.
So I'd like to continue doing two things. So the first thing is how the BAME rep has been spotlighting events related to Asian Heritage Month, Black History Month, and also like Islamophobia Awareness Month. So I'd love to continue doing this on my platform. And also something that's already in place is the BAME Facebook Students Forum. So I'd love to extend this a little bit more and make it a place where we have more regular discussions, and also set up an anonymous question box so that students can ask questions.
Thank you so much. Right, so now we've got 45 seconds to close. So you can each give some additional kind of thoughts and comments that you wanted to bring to everyone today. We will start this time with Isfahan, you'll go first again, if that's okay. You've got 45 seconds to close, and your time starts when you start speaking.
Okay, so my main priority is that BAME students get the most out of their uni experience that they possibly can. To me, sometimes it can feel like my experience is sometimes reduced to just my experience of racism, when obviously there's so much more to gain So one of the main things I would like to do, as I've mentioned, is creating more networking opportunities, supporting BAME students kickstart their careers, events for BAME students across different courses and societies to interact with each other. And also I would really love to encourage advocacy. I'm aware that myself and many BAME students are first, second, and third generation immigrants, and a lot of issues around the world really do resonate with us. And so I want Barts to be a place where people can advocate and explore these freely.
Thank you so much. Then we'll go with Shivani. You've got 45 seconds. What is your closing statement?
Vote for me if you'd like a BAME rep who extends the role from not just supporting BAME students and their voices, but also advocating for discussion around racial inequity, and also teaching all students how to be active bystanders, keeping the momentum for anti-racism initiatives. And I'm incredibly passionate about this role and very motivated. And if you'd like to vote for me, I'd be incredibly grateful.
Thank you so much. And then we've got Ryan, you've got your closing statement time.
So Barts is obviously one of the most multicultural universities in the country, with students from all over the world, from different backgrounds. And I just want to make sure every single person can feel represented no matter what. Hopefully with the events and ideas that I've described, also my manifesto on QM website, you can see that I really can't wait to get started and help make a real difference. I strongly believe that all of us ethnic minorities have a need to be heard on all aspects of university, from academics and lectures to sports outside of university. I'm extremely excited to do so to the best of my ability. And I just want to say thank you very much for listening to me today, and please check out the manifesto if you haven't already.
Fantastic, thank you so much. Well, that was our BAME reps, and thank you so much for attending and speaking to us. Really, really great to see so many enthusiastic reps and candidates running for such an important position. And please remember to check out all the information on the website. And there is a fourth candidate as well, and their manifesto will be up on qlsu.org/elections if you want to find out more about them. So next we have international rep. So international rep is, let me just get my list to make sure I've got it all right. But we've already got Paniotis here, and then Enghong. So let me just double check first that I am pronouncing all the names correctly. So Paniotis, that's fine. And Eng, is it just Eng or is it Enghong?
It's Enghong.
Fantastic, good to know. Okay, thank you very much. So thank you both of you for coming. We have 45 seconds. There's a few questions from the Slido that I can remember, so I will ask these. But if anyone has any questions in the audience, please put your hand up, because we love a bit of audience participation here as well. Francis is here. So Francis, if you come in and ask your question.
Hello.
Hey Francis, how are you? Oh no, Francis, your internet's not seeming like it's working too well. What we'll do is, Francis, if you want to, if we pull Francis out and then get him to type the question in the chat, I'll read it out. But I'll also start with the question that I've got here on that was submitted in advance. So, the question in advance is, we know that we've just been through Brexit, and that's causing a lot of changes. How do you plan on helping European students next academic year were you to take on this role? So that is our first question. And then Francis, have you been able to type the question in the chat? I don't see it there quite yet. You're able to see.
So yeah, so sorry, my Wi-Fi cut out for a few seconds. Okay. Hi everyone. So my question for you guys is, how are you going to increase international student engagement at BL? Because as international rep now, that's something I've really struggled with.
Okay, thank you so much. Any questions on those questions, please? No, happy with them? So we'll start with Francis's question. Paniotis, you will go first.
Also, it's about engagement.
Yeah, this question, not the European question. So you have 45 seconds. Let me get the timer out, and you can start whenever you want.
Well, in order to engage international students, I am planning on creating international online forums for each and every year group. Therefore, being a smaller groups, subdivisions of the whole community can help bring out problems much easier. In addition, I'm looking forward to creating 2 annual events where we'll be online meeting with all the international students, discussing with them what has been done and what is being done right now, and discussing any further concerns they are having.
Thank you so much. And then Enghong, it's your turn next. So what is your answer around engagement of international students? You have
Yes, thank you. Oh, sorry. Yes, thank you for the question. So time zone differences have been a major issue as far as international engagement is concerned. As a national rep, I plan to widen engagement by improving event access and panel discussions by factoring in students coming from different time zones so that they don't have to stay up to unholy hours in or engage with the BL community. Next up is to basically, like what Pan said, Paniotis, I'm sorry if I butchered the pronunciation, is by offering more online engagement sessions where they can come in, chime in wherever they are from. But then the main bit is the factoring in time zone to improve inclusivity. I'm sorry if that was rather quick.
No, that's fine. That's time anyway. So thank you very much, both of you. And then the next question was around European students and supporting those students. So you have 45 seconds each to answer that question. Please start with Enghong, if that's okay, whenever you're ready.
Yes, with the advent of Brexit, when you're dealing with government policy, nothing is cast in stone. It is developing and it's rapidly shifting. The Immigration and Asylum Act in 1999 prevents anyone unqualified to hand out immigration advice in form of black and white. What we can do to support these students is basically to signpost them to relevant resources, let it be through immigration matters to the QM Immigration Services and let them handle it. What we can do is to push them for a faster response and a much easier to read response. As far as transitioning to the UK is concerned, well, we need to be a bit proactive. We need to respond to their queries in a much faster situation, applying for a visa or basically making that giant shift from home to UK. It's not going to be easy, but we need to be there for them.
I'm sorry, that's time. Thank you so much. Okay, so Paniotis, you've got 45 seconds to answer the same question.
Well, obviously, in addition to the pandemic, European students have to deal with the changes in regulation with Brexit. I'm planning on creating a handbook with some information about what has changed, what is still the same regarding funding, regarding traveling, regarding any other issues they are having. For example, I've been having a lot of questions about intercalated degrees. If you're holding a pre-settlement scheme, what's going on with intercalation fees, which I'm all planning to answer. In addition, I've been contacted by some students who are very enthusiastic in creating a European society, which is something we do not yet have, and it can be a great umbrella for welfare and support to European students, as well as a way of finding information.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to move on for the interest of time. I'm so sorry. I'm sure there's plenty more to talk about, plenty of issues about international students. We know that they need as much representation as possible. Thank you for running. Thank you for coming. And have a lovely evening, and we'll move on. Again, please, if you're watching this, don't hesitate to contact the reps, the candidates, if you've got any questions. So then we've got LGBT plus, closing speeches. I am very sorry. So you've got your closing speeches. So you've got 45 seconds each to do a closing speech. So we'll start with Paniotis this time.
Well, thank you for hearing some of my ideas. Please do check my Instagram and Facebook page for any more, my manifestos and my manifestos. I am confident that with my experience and my ideas, I can revolutionize the welfare of international students at BLSA, and I'm determined to work hard to represent the interests of these students, whether it is in the funding, in finding scholarships, or fighting to reduce tuition fees. Thank you. And both.
Thank you so much. Okay, and then Enhom, you've got the final word here. So you've got 45 seconds. Your time starts now.
Okay, so coming to the UK to study as a student is a giant step on its own, and it presents with its own unique sets of challenges. All of our journeys unique differently, and what is important is that I would like to be here to walk with you throughout every step of the journey. Let it be from coming here, settling in, applying, and of course, while you're here, I'm going to make sure that your experience is going to be enriched and fulfilling as possible, while continuing to voice the issues that concern all of us internationals. So be sure to cast your ballot. Voting opens next Monday.
Thank you so much. Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for both of you for coming. And we'll move on to the LGBT plus rep now. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thank you.
So, LGBT plus rep, we've got Amelia Jones, she's got her hand up, and then Valeria. Is Valeria here? No? Okay, so Amelia, the floor is yours. Any questions for the LGBT plus rep? Numa, you've got your hand up. So let's take that one question from Numa and then we'll have the closing statement. So Amelia, you have 45 seconds after this question. So Numa, what is your question? Thank you for coming again and asking.
I'm back again. Always here to ask a question. So Amelia, I was just wondering if you had any general ideas on some ways that you could maybe support students anonymously who are maybe going through a process of figuring out their gender identity or figuring out their sexuality or anything in between and out with all of the binary lines that society has created. So yeah, if you have any ideas, I just love to hear them. So thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Numa. Okay. So Amelia, you've got 45 seconds. Are you ready? Let me get the clock out. It sounds very formal. It's not up here. You've got whenever you want to start.
Yeah, so yeah, I think that's really important that people have a way to contact people anonymously. So obviously I'll have my email and I'll be present around at events and I'll be there so that if someone wants to come up to me later in a more private thing or they know who I am anyway. Also, I want to have like a social media and maybe on there I can have a contact thing which is anonymous. Also, it would be really good if there was a way for like a submission thing where people can submit things online, like on the QMUSU website. So that would be really good as well. And obviously, I'd like to publicize it through like the LGBT societies as well.
Thank you so much. So we'll give you 45 seconds to close. You've got 45 seconds on the clock to add in anything that you wanted to add. Are you ready? You can start now.
Yeah, so I'd really love to be LGBT rep. So this year I've been secretary of BL LGBT SOC and it's been really nice. I think it's one of the loveliest societies. Everyone's really lovely and it's a really nice community. And yeah, I've really enjoyed being part of it. I've also got SU experience. I've been on the sustainability board this year and I've been involved in getting things passed through the SU. And I'm also a lead volunteer of a local HIV charity. So in that way, I've also lived here my whole life, so I know lots of the local LGBT things. So I'd really love to give people opportunities to engage with the local LGBT community as well. And yeah, and also, I don't know if I have time, but about COVID, I know that lots of people.
Okay, that's fine. I'm so sorry.
No worries.
But if people, you've left a cliffhanger, so people can now message your social media.
You can
and find out
read my manifesto.
COVID. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Amelia. Everyone, please check out the manifestos on qmsu.org/elections for more information. And please also remember, as well as the LGBT plus rep, there is a cross-campus trans rep that we can vote for. So moving on to our next position, moving swiftly on, we've got our women's rep. So that's Melissa and Becky. Hello, hello. Is Becky here? Hello. Okay, so thank you both for coming. Big smiley faces. I'm so sorry it's a bit late in the evening. But I'm sure people are really happy to see your faces and hear your ideas. So anyone got any questions for Becky or Melissa? Okay, so I will ask a question then. Okay, so women's issues are really, really important. There are multiple campaigns going on in the world. Oh, Numa's got a question. Let's bring Numa's question in then. Numa, why don't you ask your question?
Matt, you could have asked your question still.
No, it's fine. You go first. We like to listen to the people anyway. So,
okay. So hi, Mel and Becky. You both know that I love you both very much. And this is a very exciting chance for me to talk to you both. So I guess my question is talking about my own experiences. So I'm a very strong intersectional feminist, and I'm slightly obsessed with the idea. And as a BAME woman, I feel like I identify a lot with the intersectional title. So I was wondering if you had any ideas for how we could maybe promote what intersectional feminism is, what you're, you know, and like, I guess if we could maybe explain that, or if you have ideas for how we could explain to students what feminism is and why it's important and how it links with being women's rep.
Thank you, Numa. Thank you. I see Robert's got his hand up, so you've inspired our audience here. Rob, why don't you come in and ask your question as well? And then we will get the answers. So, Rob, what is your question?
Hi, yeah. As welfare reps, a really important part of the role is forums. I know that you have struggled online to sort of find their place and purpose. What would either of you two bring to forums next year?
Thank you, Robert. Fantastic. So, Melissa and Becky, are we happy with the questions? Fantastic. We will start with the women's. We'll start with the intersectionality, intersectional feminist definition, please. Where you will, you've got 45 seconds on that question around raising awareness. Let's start with Becky, please.
Yes, so thank you, Numa, for your question. So intersectionality is so important, and it kind of relates to how people are multifaceted and people don't just exist as kind of one marginalized minority, and how we're kind of all this build up and how this affects the way we see the world. And I actually did a short research project around how their sexual experiences within Tower Hamlets within the BAME community, and found like massive disparities within this area. But I think it's also important to note, like, I'm obviously white and like I'm cis and I'm straight and all of these things. So I think I need to collaborate with the other liberation reps around this, because I think passing on the mic to talk about this is also really important. But, you know, just having events run by a more diverse range of women, I think is really important, so we can get these perspectives and highlight these issues going on.
That's fine. Thank you so much. Okay, Melissa, your turn. You've got 45 seconds. After you.
Same as what Becky said, I think sometimes there's this fear that we might make mistakes when we're discussing issues such as this. And I think
that I'd rather talk about it, make those mistakes, reflect on it, and do better next time. So I really want to increase the amount of like conversations around this topic through like informative posts that bring these sort of new terms that people might not be aware of up for discussion, and also talk about it during Women's Forum. I also want to bring changes to the MBBS curriculum to include topics on gender and intersectionality, because it's, I mean, we need to learn about these stuff to make sure that the care we give. Oh, okay.
Thank you so much. Okay, so then the second question was around forums and women's forums and other kind of forums and what you can bring to those forums. We'll start with Melissa this time. You've got 45 seconds.
So one thing that I want to do is create anonymous forms for people to submit areas of discussion that they might not be comfortable in opening up but want to discuss, so that possibly I could bring up for them and we can talk about it. Another thing that I want to do, hopefully when coronavirus goes away and we're in person, is to have like women's forum in the Gref. So like a night for women to come together, because I think it's always less daunting to be in person, and collaborate with liberation officers to do like themed women's forums as well, to increase participation from all underrepresented students and parts. And that's it.
Thank you. Okay, Becky, same question to you. You've got 45 seconds.
So yeah, amazing answer, Melissa. But also I think one thing we can be doing is having the themes around forums, and we just had the LGBTQ plus rep with Rob, which he was there for. So kind of increasing working with the BAME officer and all of these different officers. And I think also I kind of want to start like a podcast club, and maybe this is something we can integrate into forums, so we have topics to discuss. And I've already got like a Google form, Google Doc thing in my Instagram where people can anonymously raise concerns. So I think it's really important that we just keep on showing up, and hopefully when they're in person, we're gonna, you know, be able to all talk about these, and it's gonna be slightly easier than being on Zoom. But I think just making sure you're consistent, you're showing up every month, and there's a safe place.
Thank you so much. Lara has a question. We'll allow it very quickly because we love to hear some debate. I am very sorry that we're running a bit behind, but you know, I'm sure people agree that these are important questions and important that everyone gets a fair chance. So, Lara.
I'm not Lara Murda, but anyway, I'm using my friend's laptop. Don't worry.
Okay, sorry. What? Okay, please ask a question.
But yeah, so my question is that women face many issues in the workplace. How do you plan to tackle that at a stage where we are right now in medical school, and maybe incorporate that within the curriculum and working with faculty? So what would be your plan there?
Great question. So we'll go with Melissa this time, because I think Becky answered. No, Melissa answered first last time. So Becky, you're next. You answer this one first. So whenever you're ready.
Yes, so I know this is something, Matt, you're working on a lot at the moment. So I think, yeah, we need this raising concerns. And so people need to know exactly where they need to go to raise concerns. So kind of on the QM Plus app, as soon as you go on, there needs to be a big red button saying raising concerns. And as soon as you go onto the website on QM Plus, like it's there, you can't miss it. And I think also, so we have this teaching within university, but I think you also need another teaching within every kind of rotation and hospital. So as soon as you go to the hospital, you know what the procedures are for raising concerns. Because I think a big issue is people just don't know what to do. And then obviously you need appropriate follow through. So I kind of want to work with the appropriate staff to make sure that we're having follow up of these concerns that are being raised, like flagging them and seeing if there are trends.
That's
and what.
Fine. Thank you so much. Okay, Melissa, you are next.
Yeah, thanks for that. So exactly like you're doing with Women in Healthcare Society, and exactly as you said, bringing changes into the curriculum, but even into PBL. So we always learn about a patient coming in with a physical health problem and how to deal with that. But actually working on scenarios where there is a student that is dealing with a scenario such as the one you've said, and then making students go out and find those resources for them. Because I think
it gets to a point where you find yourself in the situation and then you don't know what to do. Whereas if all students actually spent the time to go and research those resources and help available, I think that would be more beneficial.
And that's time, I'm afraid. Okay, thank you so much. So you've got 45 seconds to close. We'll start with Melissa this time. You can say whatever you want, and obviously remember we're streaming live. And yeah, take us away.
So essentially I'm running because I want to make the union more accessible to all Barts women. We all have different topics that are important to us, and I would like the opportunity to make your voice heard. I want to make sure that we feel safe and we're celebrating being a woman, and I want to do things that will benefit your well-being, so starting conversations around topics that disproportionately affect women. I hope you will take the time to read through my manifesto. And yeah, just good luck to everyone running, and thank you for tonight.
Okay, thank you so much. And Becky.
So I feel intensely that women have been sidelined in society, and this is reflected in our university and the courses here at Barts. So if I'm elected, I want to help change the language used around healthcare, continue to campaign for free period products, as well as facilitating a number of events and networking events run by a diverse range of women. I'm currently the social media officer for drama, and I definitely don't lack confidence. So I'm happy to speak up about issues that affect women, but I also realise my limitations. So I want to work with the Liberation reps and, you know, the Allied course reps and the rep for Malta. So we're not leaving out anyone who identifies as a woman. And thank you so much. Well done, Mel, you're doing amazing.
Okay, thank you so much. And that is the end of the women's rep discussion. Thank you so much to both of you. We're going to move swiftly on because we're dangerously getting close to the 8:30 mark. I'm very sorry, we will overrun a little bit, but I'm hoping that everyone's excited to hear about what our other positions have to offer. So welfare officer is Lucy. You're running. Lucy is the only candidate running for this position. Do we have any questions for Lucy as welfare rep? Carolina has got a question. And hello, Lucy. I hope you're well. We'll see
well, thank
you on with your question. Hi, Carolina. Please ask us your question.
Hi. So as you know, this year in all of the societies, there have been welfare officers introduced. And unfortunately, from what I've seen, they haven't really had the chance to do much. And I know that online, it's a bit different than being in person. But I was wondering, how can you engage those officers to make them a little bit more proactive?
So yeah, we've had this ongoing issue with welfare officers being introduced and then them not having anything to do. So I think as my role as welfare officer, I would like to give them incentives to be involved and really make the liberation groups and the societies more of a cohesive thing. Some of these incentives could be putting on a event of their own. I know that men's football a couple of years ago did like fantastic mental health stuff, and I think it was a really good incentive for students to get involved. And with COVID, it's none of the society things have obviously been happening, but really involving the welfare and making welfare an incentivized and fun thing to do, and not just something they have to.
Thank you so much, Lucy. Really important stuff we're covering here. I'll ask another question just because welfare is super, super important. You were a bit quick there on answering the question, but it's all right.
Sorry. I literally, as soon as I started, I was like, oh.
It's fine. We like some efficiency anyway. It's all good. So students have been through a really difficult year this year, and some students may have seen some quite traumatizing or difficult things this year, especially from our medical and dental side and anyone else working in the NHS. How would you ensure that their adequate support is available to these students next year?
Yes. So this year as the disabilities officer, I did a lot of work with student support, and I think gaining a rapport with student support and making sure that the students feel safe enough to go to student support and not just going over to the advice and counselling, because a lot of students do feel like they don't know when they can go to advice and counselling or when they need to go to someone else, etc. So I think definitely making the student support office more accessible, maybe having a way of having drop-ins which are more anonymous and more online, because I know many students find it very difficult to actually walk into the office because it's very open. There's only one way in, one out.
Thank you so much. Okay, well, that was our welfare candidate, Lucy. Thank you so much for coming, Lucy. If you want to find out more, again, qmsu.org/elections. We are now done with the welfare zone. We are now talking about our kind of VP zone, as well as our dental president role. We have the dental president coming up next. So we've got one candidate for this role, I believe, which is Jad. Is Jad here? No, doesn't seem it. So we'll move on. Again, if you want to find out more, please do check out all these candidates' social media pages. And we are on VP Barts. Numa, you're on the other side of the seat now. Look, you're here already. It's so quick. We didn't even realize that we like slotted you in.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I thought that we were doing dental, and then 1 minute I was.
We
here.
were,
Right.
but dental candidate hasn't come.
No, that's fine. Apologies.
They're not available to comment, but they have all their information online for everyone who's interested. So, Numa, any questions for Numa? She is running for VP Barts. The Vice President Barts is the representative that looks after our student groups, that is our societies, sports, volunteering, and RAG.
Wrong way round.
Oh my gosh, it's RAG. Sorry, you knew that. I said
no,
RAG.
it's fine. Honestly, it's fine.
No,
yeah.
no, it's that was me completely. You are running for VP Barts, which is the RAG and ENTS officer. I mixed them up, which is really strange. ENTS and RAG, Raise and Give, and ENTS being entertainment, top, ear, nose, and throat. So we are going to take a question from Andreas about this, but also the VP Barts also runs our flagship events and helps run Rites of Passage, for example. So lots of things to do, as well as supporting the BLSA president. So Andreas, what is your question?
Hello. So I just wanted to ask, we all know how difficult and how uncertain these times have been. So I was wondering how you think that you can increase like engagement and participation through these uncertain times, whether they need to be online or not.
Okay.
We'll bring Tom in before you answer that question. So,
okay, let me just make a note of the question as well.
So Andreas' question noted down, it was around representation and COVID times. So then we got Tom.
I knew Tom would have a question for me.
I'm just cooking my dal. I'm quite bored, so I want to ask some questions.
We're not making you bored. Gosh.
No, you're not making bored. You're on the entertainment. What was my question? So obviously flagship events like association dinner, grad dinner, halfway dinner, Rites of Passage. Some of those may happen this year, who knows? But they've obviously not happened thus far, and a lot didn't happen last year. Which is probably a good opportunity to have a rethink of those events. Who knows what they'll look like next year? Are there any changes you would make to them drastically from how they've been run before?
Okay, we'll stick with those two questions. And Numa, let's start with Andreas's question. So you've got 45 seconds. Are you happy, ready, and content?
Yeah.
Okay.
As I can be, yes.
Do not stress. This is an internet circle of love. So
I appreciate it.
45 seconds, go.
Okay, perfect. So thank you for the question, Andreas. So I think the biggest thing that we can do to improve engagement is increase advertising and directed advertising as well. So I really think that when we continuously post things on social media, particularly Instagram works a lot better than Facebook now, because a lot of the students coming in don't tend to use Facebook a lot, and we I tend to use Facebook more for events, but I have to try and learn how to use Instagram. So yeah, increasing lots of advertising, particularly with online events, because if you don't make them seem like they're going to be fun, no one will show up. So we need to really hype. Oh, sorry.
Thank you so much, Numa. Okay, so next up, next question was around any changes you want to make to some of our flagship events, and that was Tom's question.
Yeah.
So you've got 45 seconds. Take us away.
Yeah, I hope the doll goes well, by the way. But so in terms of flagship events, I would love for flagship events to be able to be, you know, quote unquote, the normal again. But I do think that there are some things that we can still do. So for me, flagship events are about celebrating the student body. And if we have to do that through online platforms, I'm sure there are ways that we could improve upon, for example, how ASOC dinner awards were delivered last year. Meg, Grace, and Julia did a really, really good time, did a really good event. But I think I'm sure there are ways that we could improve it. I'd get feedback from students to see how they think.
And that's time on the
Sorry. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Sounds like you've got lots to say.
Too much.
I will ask a question myself very quickly, and then we'll bring in Lucy, if that's okay. I'm really sorry, but this question isn't actually mine. It's one that's come through the Slido. I know there's a couple more people in the attendees list that want to ask, but I'm sure they can contact you on social media. So the question from me is, if issues with a member of your team arises, how would you go about dealing with these issues? That would be my question. And then Lucy, if we can have Lucy come in and ask her question. Hi, Lou.
Hello. So my question is, being part of the entertainments team next year and part of RAG and part of flagship events, what is something you won't be bringing back after COVID? This is a very resetting time, so I'm wondering what you want to firmly leave behind in the past.
There we go. That's the question. You've got two questions. So let's start with the one about issues with a member of your team. And obviously keeping in mind that could impact BLSA and how we represent students. And then you've got 45 seconds for that one.
Okay, so I think this is a really difficult issue to have to deal with. It's difficult for anyone. I am not a super confrontational person, but I do know this about myself. And this past year, I've been co-president of a society, and I've had to deal with it. And what I've done is by seeking advice from the SU, our staff support member, and they really supported myself and the other co-president through the situation in thinking of ways to approach the student that was involved, and discuss the issue with them and try and think of ways that we could compromise or come to a middle ground. So my aim would be to hopefully be able to do that. So take it step by step, maybe ask for advice from.
And that's time.
Okay, that's fine.
And then the final question for you is around what you would leave behind after COVID next year. Hopefully, it'll be the end of COVID by then. So you've got 45 seconds.
So this is a hard question because, as you all know, I'm obsessed with BL, but there are a few things that I think we could definitely improve on. So I think making sure that when we have events, for example, in Laird, making sure that the student body act responsibly and that we hold students accountable for their actions, and just making sure that the hard work of whoever is performing that day doesn't go to waste. I'd love to work with drama more closely on this because I know they do a lot of really good work. And I'd love to be able to provide them with support. And also, I'd love to help support, for example, at tables. I'd love to make sure that people feel that they can come and not feel sorry.
I'm so sorry, that's time. But
No,
thank you
that's
so much.
okay.
Nima, you got 45 seconds anyway to close and give any additional kind of thoughts. For those of you who don't know what Laird Hall is, i.e. the freshers mostly, I'm so sorry. You will get to know it. It's a lovely venue where we perform our shows. So hopefully next year you'll get familiar with it. So Numa, if you close us off in 45 seconds.
Yes, so I really want to be VP Barts. I think I'd be really good at it. I think I have the experience necessary. I have loads of ideas. Please follow me on social media because I talk way too much for 45 seconds. And yeah, if you have any other questions, please let me know. And yeah, just pop me a message anytime. I'm always around to speak to everybody. So yeah.
Thank you very much. That was Numa, everyone. Virtual round of applause. And let's move on to our candidates for VP London, which do represent our sports societies and volunteering groups. That's the one. Charlie's back with his stellar microphone setup.
I'll go the whole way. If we're going to be live streaming to Facebook and YouTube, I thought go the whole way.
Or should I say Seller microphone setup? Oh, sorry, I just came up with that one myself. Mine. And Barbara as well is here. So thank you both. We've seen a little bit of you already. We are going to ask you some questions from the audience. Anyone who's got a question, put your hand up. Andreas has come in. So Andreas,
hello.
UP London also supports with our flagship events as well, and the BLSA president, of course, as VP. So Andreas, please ask your question.
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask, what does BL mean to you, and how do you plan on preserving the BL identity, especially during these challenging times?
And Andreas starts with a big question already, so there we go. No pressure, guys. You've got a little bit of time to think about it because we're going to bring Harris in to ask his question. Hello, Harris. Oh.
Sorry about that. I just wanted to ask, so student groups are central to how students engage with BLSA. How can we sort of support them to get back to business as usual, hopefully?
So we've got two questions there, and then we'll take Annie and Numa's questions in the chat, and then I think we'll have to move on. We are capping questions at 4 questions per candidate here. So we are going to do these 2 questions first. The first one being, what does BL mean to you, and how are you going to protect the identity? And the second one afterwards is Harris's questions about student groups and supporting them get back to normal. So we'll start with the BL means to you, and we'll start with Barbara, please. So Barbara, you've got 45 seconds.
Yeah, so this is a very, I don't know, emotional question. Honestly, BL for me is something I love. I'm international, so literally I come here for BL, for Barts in London. Flagship events are so important. That is why I do really enjoy this role, and I think they're a huge part of the BL identity, and this is why I wanted to keep them going. To me, BL is the medical school, the dental school, the allied courses, all of its communities, its student groups, and so many people taking part in them. And yeah, just the students are what make BL. Yes, a logo makes BL as well, but I think it's the students that make the BL. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And the logo question, gosh, that's been going on for a while, hasn't it, ladies and gents? If you are someone who doesn't know about the logo issue, ask any senior BL student and they will tell you lots about it. So, Charlie, you've got 45 seconds as well.
Yeah, obviously, as we've just mentioned, it's been an issue that's been on the table for quite a while, this idea of identity and pride. And I think, obviously, BL is a huge part of my kind of personality and my life, and it has been for a few years now, and I think it will be for a few years more. And I think this idea of getting these freshers involved with the BLSA, I think that's our huge priority for the BLSA in September, is making sure these students who haven't had that exposure to what the BL community is and what it can be, I think that's going to be a huge priority, and that's how I plan on keeping that identity going, is getting those first years involved.
Thank you so much. Fantastic. Yes, so those are 2 questions down. We've got 2 more to go in the chat, and I'll sneak one in from the Slido because I know everyone's so happy to go. So Annie, your question next.
Sorry.
Sorry, Barbara, you haven't answered.
No, we haven't answered the second.
We haven't answered the second question, have we? That is completely, you're right. Sorry, I knew your face was going, wait, what's going on? Yeah, the next question was around student groups going back to normal. I'm so sorry, Harris. I forgot your question. This time, Charlie, you'll go first, and you will answer kind of what are your plans to help student groups get back to normal, and we will bring you back in, I promise. 45 seconds.
Sure. Okay, so I think it has been touched on a little bit, but obviously keeping in the COVID guidelines on the build up to September, I want to get in touch with all the society presidents, sports and volunteering as well, and make sure that everybody has this kind of action plan that can be adapted. This idea of like a hybrid system, in that when we can do in-person events, we'll also run online sessions as well. And as a VP London, it is a leadership role, and I want to kind of have an assistance with that and be in touch with all the society presidents. So if they do need the support from the BLSA, I can be their point of call past the society's officer. So kind of almost acting in assistance to help make sure they have those kind of wet weather plans in case COVID does come around and bite us again.
Thank you. That is your time. Barbara, you've got your questions, so you're next.
Yeah, so being the BL Society's officer this year, I think it's given me all of the right experience to be able to carry this on as VP London. I'd love for next year to introduce the BL Society's bulletin for sports and volunteering groups as well. This is something I came up with this year, and I think it's been really successful. I think funding will also be a main issue that we may need to face, and I think we'll need to provide extra support and guidance for all student groups applying for the extra funding they'll need next year. And also, I really want to, especially for incoming students as well as freshers and incoming like second years, who haven't really had the fresher experience, to accommodate them through more freshers events as well as more taster sessions, and yeah, just be there to also support the respective officers of the student groups as well.
Thank you so much, both of you. Right, now we bring Annie in. I'm so sorry. Let's bring Annie to ask her question. Annie, you've got 45 seconds. No, you don't have 5 seconds. You've got as much time. I'm very tired, as you can tell. Annie, you can ask your question, please, now.
I just wanted to ask, similar to what Barb's was already saying, how do you think that you can best support the sports officer and the societies officer and the volunteering officer in their role, as well as juggling all the events you've got to organise? What's your plan to support them as best as they can?
Okay. Let's go with Barbara, you're starting. So you've got 45 seconds.
So yeah, I'll talk about again how I was a societies officer, because I think that's really shown me what I need as an officer and what kind of support I need. I think Therapy this year has done an amazing job, and working with the other reps, with the other officers, I also feel like I really know what officers need. I'd love to organize monthly meetings between me and the officers to just ensure everything's running smoothly. But at the same time, I want to create like a mutual relationship where I can also depend on them if I need something as VP London. And yeah, I just want to be the first point of contact in case something happens, and also suggest them my ideas I've got for student groups so that they can put them forward themselves.
Fantastic, thank you so much. Charlie, same question, 45 seconds.
Yeah, of course. So I think with the BLSA, obviously I have my own ideas for sports societies and volunteering, but these officers, when they come in, they're going to have their own manifesto of plans that they just want to get cracking with. And I want to help them with their own goals as well as my own. So, and also implementing this idea of a kind of Team London, you have kind of your sports societies and volunteering officers. They're not doing their own separate things, but rather we're working as a cohesive team. So kind of community projects with volunteering that require sports clubs, that would be easier if we thought of ourselves more as a team rather than 3 officers and a VP doing their own thing. So I want to kind of implement this team strategy almost when we come in September.
Thank you very much. And we are now reaching the time of your talk anyway, so that was perfectly timed. There was a hand up, but it's gone down. So I'm going to take the Slido Q&A question. So this is around Anti-Racism Steering Committee, and how do you intend to take this work forward in the future, and what's your kind of interest and knowledge about this work? You've got 45 seconds, and we will start with Charlie.
Yeah, sure. So obviously the Anti-Racism Committee set up this year, they've done a fantastic job already. And I think it's a really important system to have in place to kind of, you know, as good as the BLSA is, I think it's really important that we keep ourselves in check with this kind of thing. As a white male, I don't think it would be appropriate for me to sit on this committee, but I would be supporting it in any way I possibly can as a VP London and giving it all the resources and all of the stuff that it needs. But as I say, I don't think it would be appropriate for me to sit on that committee in the same respect as the VP London has done this year.
Thank you very much. And Barbara, you have the same amount of time to answer the same question.
Yeah, so actually being in a few meetings this year as part of the BLSA board, I think the work that has been done this year is honestly amazing. A survey was released which gave us like amazing results. But I think the main aim of mine would be to keep this going. And I think I would like to get more BAME students involved in this and make it more accessible to them, as well as, just like Charlie said, finding the appropriate person to chair this, whether that's the BAME representative, which could be the BAME representative. And yeah, I just think we need to make this a sustainable thing, because I think this is a problem that we always need to address. And I think the Anti-Racism Committee will be a good thing to continue.
Thank you so much. That's time. Okay, that is it for our VP London candidates. Thank you very much. Last but not least, we're going to move on to the BLSA president. I'm really sorry we're overrunning so much, but thank you all for sticking around. It's great to see you all here. If you want to catch up on things, you can also rewatch the live cast, which will be online. And then Rob will also be attending Monday's VP hosting on, I believe, and where other executive officers will also be talking about their ideas, policies, expectations. So, hi Rob. We've also seen you today already. So we have 45 seconds to talk to you about what your aims and goals and ideas are for BLSA president. And then you'll have, oh, I've got to give the VP London's their closing remarks. I am so sorry, Rob.
I'll drive back into the ether then. I'll see you in a minute.
Yeah, I think we'll bring them back in, because I do think that would be fair for them to get 45 seconds at the end there. That is me just... I see Harris was also fuming about having lost his about his question being forgotten. It's just not working out. Sorry, Charlie.
Hello again.
Hi, Barbara. Are we bringing Barbara back in? Tom, thank you so much. Okay, fantastic. Sorry, you got 45 seconds for your closing remarks. Who spoke first last? Was it Charlie? It was, wasn't it? So Barbara, you are speaking 45 seconds to close and give us any additional information.
Yeah, I just want to say I honestly love BL so much. I've been on the BLSA board for 2 years now, and especially my work with societies, I think, makes me qualified for this role. It was a natural progression for me to run for VP London. I'm very hardworking and organized. I've held many committee positions in the past and during my time on BLSA. And yeah, I just really want to work hard for you and bring the change you want to see. If you want to see more of my ideas, because I've got plenty, go on my Instagram and my Facebook page. And my Instagram is @Vavra_VP London and my Facebook page is @Vavra BLSA. So
Thank
yeah,
you.
please vote for me. Thank you.
Okay, Charlie.
Yeah, so I think we have a real opportunity here, kind of restarting societies and our flagship events to implement the change that we want to see. And I want to work hard for you guys to implement any kind of changes you want to see. And that's what I'll be working for your VP London. I just wanted to say as well, it is really important to vote. Please go out and vote, even if it's not for me. You have two very, very good candidates here. Just please go out and vote. That's the most important bit. You can follow my Instagrams at Charlie for VP London, and I have a Facebook of the same name as well. And thank you very much for having me. It's a great opportunity.
Thank you. Fantastic. Okay, that's there.
I'm so sorry, everyone. I've made a terrible mistake. Matt will be back with us soon after I have demoted him completely by accident. I'm so sorry. You're muted, Matt.
That's completely fine. Sorry, Lucy. I've just been told that, Lucy, we forgot your 45-second closing. Do you want to come back in for your 45 seconds or not? And I apologize completely. Fab. Okay. Sorry, Lucy. You mentioned it.
It's fine. You guys can just continue. I just was being a pain.
Do you want the 45 seconds or not?
I will take it. Yes, please.
45 seconds for fairness. I am so sorry, everyone. Okay. New format that we're doing. So yeah. Okay. Up to you to start whenever you're ready.
So yeah, now that I've successfully taken over the campaign page, I suppose what I would like to bring to the welfare role is more intersectionality and more contribution from all of our wonderful reps, and bringing the importance and taking some lessons away from COVID, not just the negatives. I want to see maybe some revisions to the ECs, which have been temporarily put in place. Why can't they be more revisions done? And it's really opened up to a lot more conversations we need to be having about online learning, accessible learning, and the differences in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lucy. And again, I so apologize. And thank you for flagging it up. If anyone else has been missed, please let me know now. And we are going to move on to Rob then. Lovely. So if we bring Rob in, gosh, you can really tell it's approaching 9 and I am going a bit loopy, and I apologize, and I can't imagine what it's like for all of you. So thank you again for coming, everyone. We've got Rob here. Any questions for Rob as BLSA president? Andreas, you've got a question. And Megan Annitz, we love to see it. Okay, so we'll get, and we'll do Raksha's question. We'll do the 3 questions in one go, and then we will perhaps close it there. So let's start with Raksha.
Hi, Rob. So I've seen your manifesto, so this might be a bit of a mean question, but if you had to get rid of one of the points on your manifesto, because you've got a lot planned, which one would it be and why?
Thank you, Raksha. Okay, then let's bring Megan. Hello, Megan. Don't know if we can hear her. She's unmuted, but can't hear what's... This is very entertaining. Meg, are you able to talk? If not, it's not coming through. So we might ask you to type it. What we'll do is we'll ask Andreas to come in the meantime if we can fix it. You are unmuted, so it might just be a problem with your mic, Meg. And then Andreas, what is your question as well, please?
Hello again. So I just wanted to say, as you may be aware, next year is the first year that Malta will be able to have their graduation. I was wondering whether you have any plans for that and whether they'd be able to come to London or any further plans.
Thank you very much. And Megan.
I'm all flustered. That was all too exciting, wasn't it? I actually, in all of that excitement, have got nothing to say because my question went. But I would say this year we know that there's been issues raised by the UK FBO and the kind of next steps that are affecting the students. And I want to know what your plans are on tackling that on behalf of our students at Barts. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to be a little bit sneaky and add on something to Andrea's question, if that's okay. Megan, I hope I'm doing you proud because I'm sure your presenting last year was a lot better. Not that I can remember it because I was stressing a lot, let's say. But as well as Malta graduation, do you have any plans for the allied courses graduation and an alternative rites of passage for those students as they aren't currently invited? That will be the addition. So we'll start with the manifesto question and whether or not there's anything you would remove from your manifesto. And you have 45 seconds.
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. I couldn't honestly pick one that I would remove. I feel like everything I wrote on there I'm so passionate about. Some of the things probably are a little bit harder than others. I know looking into actually getting sort of like welfare training, mental health training for all reps is a little bit more tough. But I still think it's so important that I never want to remove it from my manifesto. Again, same kind of lines on that is raising international fees. Every single year we've seen, especially this year, that, you know, the fees are going up, but is the educational offer getting any better? Probably not. So again, that's a really tough one, but I'm so passionate about everything I wrote on there, I'd never remove anything.
Okay, thank you so much. Then we're going to go with our question about graduations for Malta and allied courses. So you may start whenever you're ready.
Yeah, another great one. I think it's about asking Malta students what they'd like. I think if they'd want to come to London, then absolutely we would more than happily welcome them. But if they wanted their own thing, and also, I mean, who knows about traveling, that could be a complicated one. So having their own rites of passage with student input, I think probably is the best bet on that. And same with allied courses, it's I think about asking students, if we want to have a big BL family community thing with everyone together, then that's great. If allied courses would like to do their own thing, having their own separate rites of passage, then that's their choice as well.
Thank you so much. Okay, and then we're going to go with the question about the UK FPO. We love the UK FPO. So what are your thoughts on the UK FPO and their current, you know, what would you do about the situation there?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I live with two flatmates who are currently intercalating, so I feel for them that mid-year their course just sort of became that it didn't really count. So I think that's really unfair, the timing of it. Obviously, as a third-year medic myself, planning on intercalation during the application process is when this was announced. So I think, as I've sort of already said, is it's about hitting hard of getting student input into these decisions, and I don't think that was done anywhere near enough in UK FPO. So I think there's still time to fight on that. But yeah, I think it's just a really tough decision when they don't take in students' voices.
Thank you very much. Okay, and then we've got Tom who's got his hand up, and because this is the BLSA president, I will quickly take that question. So Tom Longbottom, what is your question?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Cool. So my question is, as BLSA president, you also sit as a trustee of QMSU and a director, well, usually a director of QMSU Services Limited as well. So kind of with those potential hats on, what do you think, thinking about COVID and all the effects it's had, are going to be the biggest challenges for the union as a whole in the next academic year? And what are some of the things that you think might need to be done to overcome those challenges?
So, Rob, happy with the question?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got 45 seconds. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, really great question. I think it's going to be really tough next year of some students who are not going to really safely be able to enjoy some of the SU style. there'll be some students in first year who've just hit 18 who actually maybe haven't been offered the vaccine, and they're going to feel really uncomfortable mixing with a bunch of students, which I think is something that just really needs to be considered when we start the next academic year. But yeah, I think the main things is student safety and also well-being. I think everyone's felt that hit of mental health this year, and more than ever, we have to keep pushing our SU well-being services, making sure all students understand where they can go, comprehensive guides on it, talking about it as much as we can, putting it on social media. I think well-being has got to be the key point next year.
Okay, and that's time. Okay, we'll give you the 45 seconds closer. I will also be asking you more questions on Monday anyway, so that'll be fun. So thank you for those who've submitted questions there. Remember that Rob will also be at the VP candidate debate for QMSU. Really important. We've got new structures and lots of VPs that represent students at BL as well as QM, just like the BLSA president represents all students, including those down in Milan. So, Robert, you have 45 seconds. Please take us away.
Yeah, well, we've talked a lot today about all the issues that BL faces. And yes, this year has been more than just a bumpy ride. But I'm really optimistic that next year we'll see a better version of that new normal. And soon we'll get to feel that amazing BL community spirit again, from getting back into sports, going to in-person society events, even going back into the Perrin, I'm really excited for. And finally, a pint, or if you're more like me, maybe a G&T in the Griff. For the final time tonight, I too am obliged to say, go read my full manifesto to see some ideas. Go message me on social media. On Instagram, it's Rob4BLSA Prez. And finally, make sure beginning Monday to get your voices heard by voting. And very finally, a very big thank you to Matt for hosting tonight. It's not been easy. We're about 3 hours in. It's nearly my bedtime. You've absolutely smashed it.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. We are, thanks for also highlighting, we are quite late. But there we go. That's you know what, it's important, it's democracy and everyone here cares. So thank you for staying. Anyone who did miss out can always watch the recording for anything they missed out on. Thank you so much. We're going to wrap up now. I am very sorry it's taken so long, and that is, you know, on me, but also, you know, we've had some amazing candidates and amazing questions. So really good. Please remember that voting opens Monday 10 a.m. and students can vote online on qmsu.org/elections. Details are on the screen. Magic. The executive officer debate that we've talked about, where Rob will be, is on Monday, 1st of March as well at 6 p.m. and you can register on the QMSU website already. Students will be able to hear from other positions throughout the week through social media as well. So check out the QMSU social media as well as BLSA social media at QMSU and at official BLSA. We have a results party next Thursday online. Woo! I promise it will be amazing. And even if it is online, it'll be great to see all your faces there, even though it's digitally, so we can all find out together who's going to take BLSA forward. For more information and to read about the candidates who weren't able to make it today, go to qmsu.org/elections. If you've got any questions about elections, please message all of our wonderful candidates through their social medias. Do engage, make sure your friends get involved, and have a lovely evening, and do rest up. Take care, and we'll see you soon.